Is it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll see what happens. We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
I am a dissident.
Don't move. Move.
I'm saying no here. Palantir, 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 Palantir. Stop me, stop.
Seriously, we need to release the F-scene list.
Turns off.
I am not a church boy.
Turns off.
They're full-on vampires.
They hate our beef. They hate our beef. They hate our beef because our beef is beautiful and theirs is weak.
Not good. Believe me, not good.
From the mountains to the prairies.
I didn't know they were doing an
ocean,
idiocracy.
White with foam, God bless. Is that copyrighted now? Nowadays they would copyright "God Bless America."
Yeah.
My singing voice is too good. I'm gonna get us demonetized before
God
we even begin.
bless America.
My home. You gotta sing in a Jewish accent now. My home, sweet home. You gotta sing it like Chuck Schumer. Yeah, that's how you get around the copyright, and it's also, more accurate nowadays. Means it's more meaningful nowadays. Yeah, AmericaFest is on. Despite the Meghan McCain's really proud. America is so much cooler than every other country on earth, and it isn't even a competition. Yeah, that's one way of putting it. So much cooler than everybody else, says Meghan McCain. The White House, this is the official White House account. America AF. Yeah. Oh, boy. Happy 250th anniversary. So Gavin McInnes had a good observation. He said, what a perfect example of the American divorce. The people who think this is awesome want absolutely nothing to do with the people rolling their eyes. I mean, I don't want nothing to do with them. I just don't necessarily think they have the firmest grasp on, Middle East policy. That's all.
Yeah.
I know some people who are into this.
Or reality.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing against them. I just, I have my reservations about their judgment when it comes to, life and death matters, war and peace, things like that. But man, the takes on this were great. This is one of my favorites here. It says, this was the White House lawn just a few years ago by people rolling their eyes. Now, I mean, I gotta say, I think this is much better. Not even close, indisputably better, by a mile. I mean, ask 1,000 men. Would you rather a woman show you her tits, or would you rather have dirt kicked in your eyes while choking on exhaust from a 91 octane fuel from a motorbike? I think it's not even close. I don't know what you mean. It's obviously better. This reminds me.
Yeah. What woman is loosely applied there? Loosely applied.
Hey, could have fooled me. Certainly better than this. Certainly better than this. Look at this.
That's why it's a good thing you're married, because God knows what situations you'd get into.
Who the hell knows, man? Who the hell knows? I have bad attention to detail. Hey, but that's certainly better than this.
All right, that'll grant you.
It's better than that. That's what you got at the White House. Now you're telling me that
right.
You're telling me that's better than this? I don't believe you. I don't believe it.
I
don't believe it.
No.
No. Not at all. Not at all. Hey, the Weather Channel made news for the first time in a while. Who knew the Weather Channel would become knee deep in controversy? UFC Freedom 250 is facing a chaotic weather setup on the White House South Lawn with a 60% chance of thunderstorms, heavy downpours, and wind gusts up to 34 miles an hour threatening to delay the outdoor fights. On top of the storm risk, brutal DC humidity is driving a triple-digit heat index alongside massive swarms of mosquitoes and gnats that fighters will have to battle inside the cage. While the venue's massive 92-foot overhang will keep the octagon dry, a single lightning strike with 8 miles will trigger an automatic 30-minute freeze on the entire event. Now, the White House did not take kindly to this. This is their official gray check-marked Rapid Response 47 account. This event is about celebrating America's unmatched greatness after 250 years, which apparently doesn't sit well with the friendless loser who wrote this bullshit clickbait headline. Careful there. Easy, Tiger. Don't go negative on your own crowd there. Friendless loser. You know, people might take offense at that. The friendless losers are your base, my friend. Those are the only ones keeping your approval ratings above 30%.
These are the kind of people who would watch a monster truck rally and think they just attended a cultural event.
Yeah, exactly. Rain or shine, we're celebrating our great country no matter what. God bless America. To which I observed, they're literally old men screaming at clouds now. Yep. That's literally what they are. fighting with the Weather Channel for telling you, hey, it's going to be hot, it's going to be stormy, there's going to be bugs out there, you know, not a political statement, just, hey, be aware. We're going to celebrate America. The Weather Channel hates America. That's right, folks. The Weather Channel hates America. Hey, hello, dissidents, and welcome to a Sunday evening edition of the New Dissidents podcast. Good to have you all with us.
Yeah, this was what I wanted to send you. This was my favorite commentary on this. So Mike Lee tweeted out that clip of the motorcycle saying the European mind cannot comprehend this. And Jamie Walters responded, the European mind understands it perfectly. This is what imperial decadence looks like. Public institutions converted into branded spectacle. Civic memory replaced by adrenaline theater. And the people's house turned into a content backdrop for regime propaganda. The joke is not that Europe cannot comprehend it. The joke is that America no longer recognizes what it is becoming. That is a mic drop right there.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's not bad. That's not bad. Although I do have to say, though, like, America has always been really into how stupid it is. Like, we've always sort of worn that on our sleeve as a badge of honor.
Not like this.
Not on the White House lawn. I mean, not on the White House lawn. I mean, forget about it. I mean, could you imagine? Once again, I mean, I know we say this a lot, but I feel like it applies more and more every time we do. Could you imagine if Barack Obama put on an event of this scale? I don't think Obama would do the motocross thing, but like if he desecrated the White House lawn in any way like this.
Well, somebody pointed out, you remember
display.
They had a meltdown about Michelle's rose garden.
Yeah,
the
rose garden
she was doing there.
Yeah.
They were freaking out about some kind of landscaping she was doing out there. I thought, well, what was it, like an herb garden?
Yeah, it was the garden. Yeah, it was
like
part of her
garden.
like healthy food initiative.
Right. Yeah.
So she was planting gardens for kids.
She was Maha before the bear fucker over there.
Yeah, exactly. And you know they freaked out over Joe Biden's tit show, and and now they got this going on. So
now, ironically, they got a tit show.
They got a tit show. This is a tit show too. What? Tell me this is not a tit show. Look at this.
I thought they didn't like man boobs.
Yeah. I thought they had a problem with men showing their nipples on the White House lawn. I thought that's a disgrace. I thought that was a desecration. So, hey, unfortunately, we're not able to bring you the full segment because apparently the festivities are going on right now. The UFC fight is in progress on the White House lawn.
Folks, don't blame
right
me. My vote was live stream.
Yeah, exactly. We could have
done.
What
are we doing segments for?
I know.
Let's do color commentary on the UFC fights.
What channel is that even on? Because I think that's I mean, I know for YouTube that would have been a copyright thing. We'd have had to do it on Rumble. But are they like showing this on like CNN? Like, are they streaming this?
They must be. Yeah. They must be.
I have YouTube TV. I get TV on my phone. I can look it up. throughout the night. I'll see if they're actually covering this like on television. Like you turn on CNN.
Somebody here says pay-per-view. This can't be pay-per-view.
Yeah, I thought it might have been pay-per-view because it's a UFC event. Yeah. So there's no coverage of it right now on CNN. I got TV on my phone because I got the YouTube TV. So yeah, there's no coverage of it right now. So it may be a pay-per-view event, which is just insane.
All right, Jake, look up where you can watch this and let us know in the private chat.
Let us know.
We have a producer.
Oh, it's on Paramount Plus. That's right. The chat is saying that. No, I've seen that. It's on Paramount Plus. Okay.
I thought that was a joke.
So it's a Larry Ellis. Well, it's on. I mean, Paramount Plus is a subscription-based thing, but it's not like a pay-per-view on Paramount.
I know, but it's Ellison's. Yeah. I thought they were joking. All right.
No. I had seen that before.
It's on Paramount Plus. That's too
great.
Much.
That's awesome. Wow. Well, there you go. There you have it, folks. We'll probably have more to report on this on Tuesday, where we'll have a lot more fun. But I just can't. I mean, how could you not love it? How could you not love it?
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Wow is right. Wow is right. Hey, congratulations to the New York Knicks, champions after 53 years. 53 years. That's right. New York City was on fire last night. Eric Cusoso was New York City partying like it's 1973. That's right. 1970. This is like the mid-70s. The New York Knicks are champions. We're going to have energy rationing soon, pretty soon. So, yeah, it's a feeling like the 70s all over again. But what a game. What a run.
They drove a Cadillac right down 125th Street with Wilt Chamberlain's skull on the hood ornament. Yeah.
Yeah, my brother was out filming some footage. He got some fun stuff. Maybe we'll show that during the week, or maybe we'll show some of that on Tuesday. We're doing our patron post game on Tuesday, so this Tuesday will be extra segments plus call-in Q&A. But he said it was a mob scene. He says it's like January Snicks, January Knicks.
I heard it was fiery but peaceful.
They were fiery but peaceful celebrations of the New York Knicks, champions of basketball. All right. Vianticus says everything's a scam, everything's a lie, everything's hypocrisy, and so you don't comply. That's right, Vianticus. Thank you very much. Eric Rousseau says, do you agree with Candace Owens that Erica Kirk is a psychopath? Well, Russ has said that from the beginning. I think Russ said that before Candace Owens said it.
I said it as soon as I saw her speak. First time I saw her speak, I said she's a psychopath. And it's not like my go-to. Like, there are a lot of people I hate. I don't say that about.
Right.
But there are a few that I'm like, yeah, they're not right. It's just there's a certain affect that psychopaths have that's just very off-putting. I can't remember who it was that did that long essay about Erica Kirk regarding that, how psychopaths are just... You intuitively feel like something's not right about this person.
Yeah, I forget who wrote that too, but I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like, that's how I felt the first time I saw her. So I felt about Kamala Harris. Same thing. I don't say that about Hillary Clinton, actually. I don't get that sense. I think she's just evil. You don't have to be a psychopath to be evil. That's a specific psychological illness, and I think they both have that.
Turd Burglar, thanks for the $20. Appreciate that very much. By the way, shout out to Jake in the booth tonight. Jake, thanks for being here. 1,400 strong to start things off in the YouTube chat. 523 over on Rumble. Let's smash that like button, please, and thank you. Hey, those jade eggs aren't really my thing. Could Gwyneth create some butt eggs instead? Ha, good one. Thank you. And, that reminds me of, I thought of like a funny kind of like joke / bit / riff, and I forgot what it was. That's why you always have to write down an idea when it's good. But for some reason, this super chat reminded me of it. The joke was something like, cherry tomatoes, I guess because an egg is shaped like a cherry tomato. So it triggered that in my mind. You know how Israel is very proud of their cherry tomatoes. They always reference how, they are the, number one grower and exporter of cherry tomatoes, which number one, I don't know if there's evidence for that because I've never seen stamped on a box of cherry tomatoes made in Israel. They're always, product of Mexico or something like that.
They're not going to have them at the Park Slope Food Co-op.
No, No, not at all. But I always thought that's a great, that is such a fitting product for Israel to be proud of. This like mediocre fucking inbred retarded tomato, you know? Just that's what they are. They're inbred freak tomatoes.
Very much like the Israeli people themselves.
Exactly. Like, you know, Italy, you got the big round tomatoes, you know, the Roma tomatoes. Those are nice tomatoes. A beefsteak tomato.
Try to
a
make
fucking
this
cherry
a thing.
tomato. That's what you're proud of that as an export?
Well, you know, they describe themselves as sabras, you know, prickly on the outside but sweet on the inside. You should start a campaign to call Israelis cherry tomatoes.
That's what, yeah, they brag about cherry tomatoes. Mike Huckabee said, "Oh, if you don't like Israel, then you're not grateful for your technology and your cherry tomatoes." What the fuck? Cherry tomatoes are such a fucking mediocre product. Like, why would you? That's like being proud of like canola oil or, you know, soybean oil, you know, as an export.
That's what you buy when you don't want to cut a tomato.
Yeah, you buy a cherry tomato
when you
don't.
You're too lazy to cut tomatoes.
You're too lazy to cut a tomato. You don't want. I mean, yeah,
you're worried about it like going bad. The part that's left over.
Well, that's the other thing. You know? You're worried about wasting half of the tomato because if you buy a big tomato, if you spend 83 cents, you
kind of have to eat it in the next couple days. Yeah.
Exactly. You spend 83 cents on a real tomato and you only use half of it. Now you're out 42 cents. See, this is why the Israelis created cherry tomatoes.
Yep.
Yeah,
right. Because they're fucking yeah. That's Yiddish a cup.
What if we start inbreeding the tomatoes and they come out small and oval shaped? Then you just make them one at a time and you don't waste any money.
You don't waste a tomato.
Yeah, there you go. See, we workshopped that. Good. See, so it's a good thing that you mentioned that. See, that would have been unheard. Nobody would have ever heard that bit. If it does rain, Trump should just make his UFC extravaganza into a mud wrestling catastrophe. Yeah, I'm sure it'll turn into that anyway, knowing those attendees. EO Shush, the debate capitalism versus communism is over. Seattle votes in a communist mayor and the Seahawks win the Super Bowl. New York votes in a communist mayor and the Knicks win the NBA championship. That's right. That's right. Good year for Islamo-communism. That's right. Danny D. Keaton Russ has to attend the championship parade with you when you go down to New York City. It's not optional, even if you have to drag him there. Well, you know, it's going on.
Well, you know, I should probably do it for my channel.
You should. You should. Although apparently it's happening on Thursday, which why? Why would you make it on Thursday? Yeah, Mamdani just said there's a parade in Manhattan on Thursday. Why wouldn't you make it on Saturday?
They're doing the like Canyon of Heroes.
Yeah, the Canyon of Heroes to City Hall thing. I assume that's where they have it. That's where they always have these things. But like, why would you do something like that in the financial district on a Thursday when you could just do it on a Saturday? That makes no sense to me. But I think that's when they're doing it. Super sticker, thank you, Me Shoot Skeet. Appreciate that. Heavy Snack, thanks for the $10. Says, I strongly believe Trump retreated from Iran due to the summer and the absolute horror that would occur had Iran struck desalination plants in the GCC as promised. Will 100% be back in the fall, free Palestine. Yeah, I mean, we have a segment on Iran coming up next. Things are happening very, very quickly. But yeah, I mean, we said it the last time, like, it just seems like an impossible situation. I mean, what are you going to have gas at $8 a gallon going into the fucking midterms when you're already looking at a historic ass kicking? Then and now, still gay. Thank you, Vientikis. God is a boxing fan. Fuck UFC. That's right. Heavy Snacks says Miriam Adelson will donate the use of her Jew weather machine for the UFC fight. Good one. Good one, Heavy Snack. Appreciate that. Charles D9 Op. Trump, Clinton, and Epstein walk into a bar. Somali playground attendee says, hey, you've got to leave. There are no kids here. Huh? Good one. Oops, sorry. Missed that one here. Okay. Comrade Cranky says, if you check the White House basement, you will find the blood and bones of the slaves that built it. There's a reason it's called the White House. Thank you, Comrade Cranky. Steve says, you guys are the best in the business, helping me keep my sanity in an increasingly insane world. Well, thank you. Better than the liberal slop on other shows. Oh, well, thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. What do we call? We got called some kind of slop the other week. I forget which kind of slop.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Go Plattner.
Go Plattner. Go Plattner. Chairman Plattner. That's what we're going to call
Chairman
him.
Plattner.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. All right. Let's let's move right on along. All right, folks, we got some big news. We got some serious news, actually, and we're going to do we're going to do something we haven't done in a while. We used to do this all the time, which was because news breaks so quickly, we feel like news breaks after we go off on Thursday, and then we got to catch everybody up. So we're going to kind of do a version of that here. So on Thursday, we did a segment that we ended up not clipping and not using because it was obsolete by the time we got off the air. Trump threatens major bombing campaigns in Iran Thursday night, but then called them off Thursday afternoon, citing progress in talks. Well, we've certainly heard that before. Now, the Iranians put out some terms that Trump then insisted were fake. The terms that Iran leaked out to the fake news have nothing to do with the terms that were agreed to in writing. What they said, including their weak and pathetic statement on having a deal, bears no relation to the truth. Very dishonorable people to deal with. Oh, yeah, they're dishonorable to deal. Unlike us, we're great to deal with. Unlike the Israelis, those are real straight shooters there.
I turned around. I said to Jared the other day, they're worse than your people.
Yeah. With them, there is no such thing as dealing in good faith. Amazing. Also, their total rebuffed drone attack last night against Indian ships leaving the Hormuz Strait is totally unacceptable. They better get their act together and fast. President Donald J. Trump. All right. So, cut to 12:45 Eastern yesterday. Barack Hussein Obama's deal with Iran, the JCPOA, was an easy, beautiful, smooth road to a nuclear weapon, which Iran would have had 6 years ago and would have used long before now. My agreement with Iran is the exact opposite. A wall to no nuclear weapon. Whatever that means. A wall to no nuclear weapon. Oh, instead of a road, it's a wall. Yeah, I get it. Wow. Okay.
Wow. It's very clever.
That is very
so you
clever.
know he wrote it himself.
Yeah, right, exactly. He built a road to a nuclear weapon. I built a wall to no nuclear weapon.
Yeah.
In fact, they no longer want a nuclear weapon, nor will they have one, either through purchase, development, or any other form of procurement. The deal is scheduled to get signed tomorrow, and immediately after it is signed, the Hormuz Strait is open to all. Our relationship, which it was before we invaded, our relationship, which with Iran, is a much different and better one than previous administrations have had. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Unlike Obama's hundreds of billions of dollars in payments to them, including $1.7 billion in green cold cash, no money will exchange hands. At the appropriate time, when all is calm, we will go in and get the nuclear dust buried deep under the powerful sunken granite mountains, thanks to our beautiful B-2 bombers and their brilliant pilots, and downblend and destroy it, whether in Iran or the United States. We look forward to working with Iran and the entire Middle East long into the future. Hopefully this process will work out quickly, easily, and smoothly. And then here comes the stick. If it doesn't, we have the ultimate alternative, hopefully never to be used again. So ending with a nuclear threat there at the end.
Yeah.
Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. So then Trump says the nuclear agreement will be signed on Sunday. That's today. The agreement with Iran supposed to be inked today. President Donald Trump said Saturday that an agreement with Iran is scheduled to be signed Sunday, potentially marking the culmination of months of negotiations that repeatedly veered between threats of military action and promises of a diplomatic breakthrough. Iran has not confirmed a deal has been reached, but Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said Friday that a deal has never been closer. Iranian state-run media has at times described any possible deal as more of a 60-day extension of a memorandum of understanding, so both parties can continue negotiations and not a final end to the conflict. Now, there is some internal resistance within Iran to negotiating with the Americans. So here's some protests which have gathered in front of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs building. Iranians do not want the MOU. Now, those aren't the kind of protesters that we like. Those are the protesters we don't like. Those are not the kind of protesters we will start a war for. But apparently the translation there, Arachi, be ashamed, stop negotiating with America. But hey, this morning, bright and early, 7:22 a.m., this gets posted, aired on Fox News. This morning, by the way, President Donald Trump's 80th birthday. 80th birthday. Good morning from Geneva, from Switzerland. We are waiting for the signing of the U.S.-Iran deal. The president says it's happening today.
The president said that he wants world peace for his birthday. Of course, his birthday is today, and he could get very close to that, at least a peace agreement with Iran. He announced yesterday that that deal will be signed today, although it will happen, we are told, electronically, so we won't see either side in the room together. They'll do it separately, digitally. The president on Truth Social yesterday in that announcement said they no longer want a nuclear weapon, nor will they have one, either through purchase, development, or any form of procurement. Immediately after it's signed, the Hormuz Strait is open to all. Hopefully this process will all work out quickly, easily, and smoothly. If it doesn't, we have the ultimate alternative, hopefully never to be used again. The latest from the Iranians, however, is that it will not be signed this weekend. The spokesperson for the Iranian foreign minister told state media it could, though, happen in the coming days. So we will see. We'll track it today. According to a White House official, the terms include all of Iran's nuclear material is going to be destroyed and removed. The nuclear program is going to be dismantled. None of Iran's money will be released without full compliance. The Strait of Hormuz will be reopened again, and then there will be no Iranian funding of terrorist groups. Now, meanwhile, the president arrives here in Geneva for the G7 tomorrow. He's planning to meet one-on-one with the leaders of Egypt, Qatar, and the UAE. On the sidelines of the summit, we're told that the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will not be attending those meetings. President Zelensky is also attending the G7.
Probably because of the war crime statute. I don't know if Switzerland is a signatory to the Rome Statute. I know there's, neutral and all. But
they probably are.
They probably are. They seem like nice people, Benjamin Netanyahu, look at this. Right as that segment is airing on Fox News, we attacked in Dania in Beirut targets of the terror organization Hezbollah. Israel will not tolerate fire into its territory. So once again, as rumors of a peace deal circulate, Israel hits Lebanon. Parody Jeff says, holy shit, Israel has just bombed Beirut's government district. They're blowing up any chance of a Middle East peace deal on purpose. Israel fears peace. Here's some video. Israel strikes Beirut on day. Trump says Iran deal will be signed. So that is their MO.
عليه معي بوش بحالنا هون استهداف.
And sure enough, this had the intended effect, at least for the time being. Here he is. This is a speaker for the Iranian parliament, MB Ghalibaf. The Zionist incursion into Dahia has once again, has once again showed that America either lacks the will to fulfill its commitments or the ability to do so. By giving the green light to the regime, you cannot gain concessions. The game of bad cop and good cop is outdated. If you lack the will and ability to fulfill your commitments, speaking of continuing the path is not possible. Trump, once again, rebukes Netanyahu. Very strong words for Netanyahu. President Trump issues a statement on Israel's attack on Beirut this morning. This morning's attack on Beirut should not have happened, particularly on a special day when we are close to a peace deal with Iran. Israel has the right to defend itself against threats, but the attack it was responding to was very small and meaningless. No one was hurt, injured, or killed and should not disrupt this important process. We are very close to a deal that will bring peace to the region, including Lebanon, and all sides should stand down. There should be no more attacks by Israel anywhere in Lebanon, but there should also be no more attacks by any other party, including Hezbollah, against Israel. This could be the beginning of a long and beautiful peace. Let's not blow it. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I mean, it's just so embarrassing at this point, where you see time after time Israel does this. Time after time, Trump says, they shouldn't have done it. Oh, we had a big argument about this. What about the last time where you said Netanyahu was fucking crazy and ungrateful because we saved his ass? So then he goes and does it again. And what, you just say again, yeah, no, they shouldn't have done that. You know, we're right around the corner from a beautiful peace, as if it's not obvious right now. By now.
Listen, I understand it turned out that she was 12, but she said she was 18 and they have the pictures. Yeah. What do you want me to do?
Exactly. Pretty obvious what's going on here, because, you know, if you contrast those words to those of an American president when faced with Israeli incursions into Lebanon, Ronald Reagan, not an American president that we are particularly fond of here on this show, of course. But, you know, Ronald Reagan, this is what Ronald Reagan said to the Israelis when they hit Lebanon. King Fahd called begging me to do something. This is from Reagan's diary. I told him I was calling Prime Minister Begin, Menachem Begin, immediately, and I did. I was angry. I told him it had to stop or our entire future relationship was endangered. I used the word Holocaust deliberately and said the symbol of his war was becoming a picture of a 7-month-old baby with its arms blown off. Yes, he said they were committing a Holocaust. He said that to the Israeli prime minister and then doubled down. Statement by Deputy Press Secretary speaks to the situation in Lebanon, August 12, 1982. So after those strong words, guess what Israel did? They stopped firing on Lebanon. In releasing the statement, Mr. Speaks, the press secretary, Larry Speaks, announced the president had 2 telephone conversations with Prime Minister Menachem Begin of Israel. Prime Minister Begin placed the latter call to tell the president that a complete ceasefire had been ordered by the Israeli government. See, that's what you could do if you weren't owned by Israel. It's as simple as that.
He's a poet warrior in the classic sense.
Yeah, exactly. So there is some precedent here for containing Israel. It's not that they can't be contained. It's just that it seems like Donald Trump is the last guy to be able to do it for reasons unknown, but people have their suspicions. Barack Ravid, this is from H.A. Axios, says President Trump told me, why did Bibi have to do a fucking attack? Well, why do you think he had to do an attack? Like, what do you like? You don't know? You haven't realized the pattern by now? I was so pissed off. I let him know. He has no fucking judgment. I let him know that. Ooh. Oh. Ooh. Wow. You really set him straight. This is what?
Call him a duty head too.
Yeah, exactly. What is this, the 5th or 6th time that they've supposedly had harsh words for each other? Well, sure enough, a diplomat involved in U.S.-Iran peace talks say Israeli strikes on Beirut, Lebanon today have created issues with finalizing a deal, per Fox News. The diplomat says the strikes are an attempt to sabotage President Trump's deal and drag the U.S. back into war. Wow, give that guy a raise. He knows what's going on. Yesterday, President Trump said a peace deal was scheduled to be signed today. So Joe Kent lays it out pretty well. He says Trump is being presented with a binary choice: cut a deal or escalate the war. At this point, the reality we are in, based on the conditions we have allowed, means that either way, Trump will be criticized for cutting a worse deal than Obama's, or will be forced further into a war worse than Bush's. But we have a third option: no deal required, just declare victory and walk away. Until Israel is restrained, they will drag us back into war just like they did after Operation Midnight Hammer. Unless we reset the conditions on our terms, we will ultimately suffer an endless cycle of conflict at the behest of Israel. Trump should reject the Obama-Bush binary and handle this his way. Walk away, pull our troops out, cut aid to Israel, say he won, and quietly deal with the Iranians moving forward. This way, Iran loses its incentive to choke the Strait of Hormuz, freeing up oil commerce and avoiding an escalation into a war no one wants and which we can't afford. Persia is an ancient and formidable geographic reality. We must deal with them as such. Now, let's see how the administration plans to deal with them. This is among the dumbest pieces of video that we've seen in the past year and a half, and we've seen a lot. But
Wow.
here is Pete Hegseth.
It's a pretty bold statement there, Kay.
Well, I mean, this is pretty remarkable as you see this guy kind of stumbling his way through what is supposedly the diplomatic strategy of his boss here.
The force posture in place. Are you keeping the force posture in place through the 60 days of negotiations and beyond?
Oh, we'll make sure the military option is there. And that's the big difference between this and JCPOA and the way Obama did it. Obama, they begged Iran for a deal, and we bombed Iran and then put in a blockade and then ran ships through and then have restarted when necessary to ensure that they come to the table for a great deal. So our military posture will be whatever it needs to be to ensure they're compelled over this 60 days through the memorandum of understanding that they live up to what they said they would do. The document says Iran will never have a nuclear weapon, won't seek one, won't buy one, won't have one.
JCPOA said that
days,
too.
There'll be negotiations to make that final.
Right.
But they didn't have the threat of military force the way that we do, that Iran respects in a very way that their regime is more devastating.
Oh, so you see the genius of this is that the JCPOA had the same provisions that we have in this deal. The difference is Obama, beta cuck pussy that he is, he did it without starting a war, whereas we did it while starting a war. That makes us better than him because we're alphas and he's soy, right? So, yeah, it's the same deal, but we did it with the threat of military force, right? We killed 160 schoolgirls. We plunged the economy into a near global depression. We drove gas prices through the roof and created unbelievable instability in the markets. See, even though we're getting the same deal as Obama got, look at how much better we did at getting it than he did. Whereas, he just, negotiated. I mean, that's literally the point he's making. She's saying, well, hey, wait a minute. Isn't this basically the Obama deal? Well, yeah, but the difference is we started a war over it and he didn't. And that makes us better than him.
That's why we changed the name to the Department of War. We've got war right there in the name. That's what we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
We excuse me, whether they make sense or not.
Yeah, exactly.
More devastated than it's ever been in its 47 years, and that's why they're at the table. So the huge difference is we did this from a position of strength. President Trump led with military might. That military might will stay as long as necessary. If the blockade comes off, then you pull back and you allow shipping to flow, just like Iran needs to allow shipping to go through the straits. But we can snap that blockade back at any point, and they can't do anything about it. And Iran knows that, and that's why we have
don't forget, folks, it's don't forget, ignorance is strength, freedom is slavery, and we control the Strait of Hormuz, not them. We control it, not them.
We are pretty fucking far from James Baker, I'll tell you that.
Yep, you're not kidding. Glenn Greenwald tweets, I almost feel sorry for the Trump officials and media allies who have to claim that this disastrous war of aggression somehow produced a deal meaningfully better than the JCPOA. Fortunately for them, there is still a rump of MAGA influencers willing to repeat anything. Yes, that's right.
Holy smokes.
Holy smokes. That's right. But hey, I guess they worked through the day.
Owns Meet the Press simp.
Yeah, exactly. Shahbaz Sharif, the mediator, the Pakistani mediator here, says, following intensive talks, we are pleased to announce that the peace deal between the United States of America and Islamic Republic of Iran has been reached. This was 5:15 tonight, just about 2.5 hours ago at the time of this stream. Both sides have declared the immediate and permanent termination of military operations on all fronts, including in Lebanon. Now, by both sides, understand what he means by both sides. He didn't mean all three. It'd be both sides, meaning the United States and Iran, not Israel, apparently. The official signing ceremony will be on Friday, 19th June, in Switzerland, I guess at the G7. We would like to thank the United States of America and the Islamic Republic of Iran for their commitment to finding a diplomatic solution to the conflict. We would also like to extend our sincere appreciation to our brothers in this mediation effort, the great leadership of the state of Qatar for their support in reaching this agreement. I would also especially thank the visionary leadership of Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Republic of Turkey for their immense contributions in this regard. With the agreement now in place, mediators will facilitate a series of meetings this week. These pre-implementation discussions will lay the foundation for the technical talks and the official signing ceremony. Trump, 14 minutes later, announces it on Truth Social. The deal with the Islamic Republic of Iran is now complete. Notice, Islamic Republic of Iran. The Islamic Republic of Iran is still the Islamic Republic of Iran, despite their initial goals of regime change, which they're now denying they ever said.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, it's about reopening the strait that was open before you launched what will go down in history, if this is the end of it, as the dumbest war of all time.
Right. And it's like it's reestablishing the deal that we had 10 years ago.
Yeah. They're going to call this the Nevermind Treaty. Congratulations to all. I hereby fully authorize the toll-free opening of the Strait of Hormuz. Again, that doesn't seem like it's yours to authorize. It seems like it's theirs to authorize, as evidenced by the fact that they closed it and we're trying to get it open. And simultaneously herewith authorize the immediate removal of the United States naval blockade. Ships of the world, start your engines. Let the oil flow. We're going. Wait, let's party like it's January 2026. Before we started this whole thing, let's set things back the way they were. Hey, Mark Levin had a little mini crash out over this. If Israel is attacked by Iran, I predict Israel's response will be brutal. Good luck, you fucking piece of shit. Best of luck to you. That's what I say. Like, if that's what it's going to be, that's what it's going to be. That's what we've been saying. The great pastor John Hagee. We're not reading all of John Hagee's bullshit, but he, warns no deal is better than a bad deal. I pray that America's leaders will discern what Iran seeks to obscure and conceal. Blah, blah, blah. For the bots, anti-Semites, and other crackpots here, just so you know, I support Israel. Yeah, I think we got that by now.
Yeah.
I support Israel.
Do you?
Yeah, do
Do
you?
you?
I don't know.
You're kind of on the fence. I thought you were a two-stater.
Yeah, I thought you were a big two-state guy, right? For the bots, anti-Semites, and other crackpots here, just so you know, I support Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan. I have always opposed terrorists, fascists, and communists. I hope this helps, but I doubt it. This is what we red-blooded Americans believe. Screw yourselves. Yeah, having a little crash out there is Mark Levin. And yeah, the comments on his post were not good. I mean, the Levin followers feel very betrayed by this. They post this unironically, make Ayatollah great again. See how much they love Donald Trump until he steps out of line?
Yeah.
Until he takes one step out of line. So, to Levin's point here, Elon Levy says, the United States is not a party to the conflict in Lebanon. Israel is. And Israel is not a party to this ceasefire. It has an inherent right to self-defense against Hezbollah's threat of an October 7th on our northern border. That's what I said. So good luck. Good luck. You want Lebanon? You fight Iran for it. We're out. We're out. Have at it. You guys want to fight? Best of luck to you, my friend. You guys will certainly need it without our support. DD Geopolitics now reporting, as well as a myriad of other online outlets here. This is like 6:15, right before we went on, basically. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told President Trump that Israeli forces will not withdraw from Lebanon and that Israel does not consider itself bound by the Lebanon clause in the U.S.-Iran Memorandum of Understanding, according to Maariv. Disclosed TV also says Iran says it will refrain from carrying out its retaliation for today's Israeli strikes in Beirut because of last-minute concessions offered by Trump, including the preservation of Lebanon's territorial integrity, Israel's withdrawal from the Lebanese border, and the immediate lifting of the siege. So it looks like there is some language about Israel and Lebanon in the ceasefire that, of course, Netanyahu is not agreeing to. And that brings us about up to date. So the question is, as the question has been this whole time, when Israel goes ahead and they violate this, Does Donald Trump at this point have the balls, big alpha male that he is, to tell them that when you violate this ceasefire, you are on your own? It's as simple as that. That's been the off-ramp all along. Now they seem to be more dug in than ever before on the possibility. I think it was a good idea to just come out and announce it. Don't wait for the fucking Israelis. Just come out and say we have a deal and force them to break it if they want to. And the question remains, as it has been this whole time, when they break it, not if they break it, when they break it, what are you going to do? Are you going to be a man and stand up for your country the way Ronald Reagan did? And we are not fans of Ronald Reagan, but Ronald Reagan was an American president in that way, and that he knew when to lay down the law. And as soon as he did, they stopped firing on Lebanon. Are you going to do that? Or are you a slave? Are you a bitch? That's the question. That's the big question. So, you know, there's a, yeah, there's a lot of testosterone on display on the White House lawn as we speak right now. A lot of big, tough, burly men, a lot of UFC fighters, right? Big celebration of masculinity and manhood. Well, what kind of man are you? We will find out very shortly.
Yeah, everything from this grotesque display on the White House lawn to the language that Trump uses in these posts. Strong men don't act like this. Weak men do. This is all the posturing of weak men. It's kind of a truism. The guy in the neighborhood you have to worry about isn't the guy with the big mouth. It's the quiet guy.
Right.
People who are really dangerous don't need to posture. They don't need to constantly tell you how strong they are, how tough they are. This has been the thing all along that is maybe, and I continue to believe this, there's no end to this because Trump is owned by Miriam Adelson and company. And when Israel does everything they can do to provoke the Iranians into a response, and they respond, what world is it where Donald Trump's going to say, well, you're on your own? He's not going to do that. He's not able to do that. They probably have stuff on him from Epstein Island. And on top of that, you know, every time he shows a little independence, somebody tries to take a shot at him. You know, which always under very mysterious circumstances and always figures with very obscured biographies doing it. I think the combination of the two, there's no way that Donald Trump, as likely compromised as he is going to turn around and say, no, you're on your own. At that point, how do you actually end this in a meaningful way?
Yeah, that has remained the question. You know, we've said, you know, a few years into covering the Ukraine war, we kind of slowed down our coverage of it because our take is the same thing every time. Well, this is starting to become that kind of thing where ultimately, I mean, we're going to,
and that's why we're not covering it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we got to cover the Iran war because it's urgent and in our face right now, even more so than Russia, Ukraine, obviously. But ultimately, it all comes down to the same basic question, which is, are you willing to cut them off? That's it. It's been obvious from the very beginning that Trump it was obvious from June of last year that Trump wanted out of this. That's why he kept running to the media saying their program has been obliterated. That was him communicating indirectly to the Israelis. Well, fellas, our work here is done. Wasn't that $200 million the best money you ever spent getting me in office? Look what we did. We obliterated their nuclear program, and that's it. Job well done. Moving on. They weren't going to let him do it. I knew they weren't going to let him do it. I said by the end of this year, meaning 2025, the Israelis will be lobbying for another attack on Iran. And sure enough, just in the nick of time, just to beat the buzzer, December 30th, Netanyahu comes to Washington and does exactly that. What was it, 5 days later? They kidnap Maduro, which gets Donald Trump's ego up. And then a couple months later, boom. And here we are. And here we are. And we are as close. I mean, this is not just the American media saying this. The Iranians themselves are saying this is as close as we've ever been to a deal. They have now said they have agreed. Israel is making a stink, as we knew they would. What happens when this week, and God, we hope this doesn't happen, obviously, but I don't know if it's worth hoping at this point. What happens when Israel hits Lebanon again and again and again? They're going to keep going until they provoke a response and try and drag the United States back in. They're not going to stop. They made it clear after the 12-day war they were not going to stop. They're not going to stop now.
They're refusing to be a party to the agreement.
Exactly. So the only way it stops is for Donald Trump to prove what kind of man he is. And, it's not easy to have confidence, but we hope he proves us all wrong.
And Mr. Plattner, how would you handle Benjamin Netanyahu?
I'd rape him, but not in a gay way.
Not in
a gay way. That's how you establish dominance with somebody like Benjamin Netanyahu.
I'd hold him down and shit in his mouth, but not in a gay way.
I'd teabag him.
Yeah,
he'd never come back with his laundry again. I promise you that.
Yeah, exactly. All right, I want to take some chats and rants.
All right. P.W. Walker. Cormier had bigger tits than that Biden flasher.
Is that who that guy is? I don't even know who that guy is.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, I don't know.
John, 2017. Bread and circuses without the bread part. Love from Florida. Yeah, that's right. They got to get on the bread.
Yes.
Americans will settle for Wonder Bread. You don't have to get fancy.
Right.
Richard Hughes. Everything is not a lie, and we need you to comply. Now pay your fucking taxes and shut up sincerely, BB.
BB.
Shady Deals. An Arkansan praising another country's tomatoes is not an Arkansan. Why, are you guys big on that?
Yeah, do you guys grow tomatoes down there?
You grow a lot of tomatoes? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Eric Rousseau, sounds like Israelis have tomato envy.
Yes.
All kinds of envy. Virtuoso, when's the last time either of you bit into a watermelon and found black seeds?
That's the other thing. Yeah, seedless watermelon. Once again, another freak fruit, another unnatural fruit.
Well, you know what? In Asia, they actually serve watermelon quite a lot, and those all have black seeds. So they're not buying the mutant.
They're not buying the Israeli mutant watermelons. Yeah.
No.
That's
they
true.
They serve that a lot over there.
Mm.
It's a very common dessert to have like fruits instead of sweets.
Yeah.
And watermelon's pretty popular. Jody, Israel did not create or invent cherry tomatoes. They bred a specific type. Cherry tomatoes come from Mesoamerica. Once again, lying and stealing from Browns.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, every thing of cherry tomatoes that I buy, because now I check, because I make sure, now that I know they sell them, if it says product of Israel, I won't buy them. So I check to see where they're made. And yeah, all the cherry tomatoes here that you come in across are made in Mexico. Almost all of them.
Freddie X. I worked on the 22nd floor at Wall and Broadway for 2 of the 90s Yankees parades. You need a weekday to have ticker tape throwers. We started shredding 3 days early.
Is that it? So they have the ticker tape people that are in the offices. All right. All right. Okay.
That makes sense.
That makes sense. I was at the 96 parade. I was at the 96 Yankee parade. Yep. We got there very early. We had a good spot. And there was a documentary made called, well, there were 2 documentaries made. I forget which one we were in. We're in the corner of one of the shots of one of the documentaries that they made at the parade.
Raven Laz, at this point, they might as well AI resurrect Jerry Springer for a show on the White House lawn. Jerry. You know what? We used to write articles and I miss it because I've been dying to write a America's the Jerry Springer Nation article for a couple of years. Like we wrote, when was the last time we wrote an article? Jesus.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, we don't have time. Russell's Peasant Mind, UFC at the White House isn't idiocracy. it's Animal House, and J.D. Vance is Flounder. You know what I just started reading? Actually, see, this is something else I would love to do a video essay about. Because, it's very interesting how the whole, like, nerd culture became reactionary. And, they had a meltdown about The Boys kind of having a critique of the right wing, the TV adaptation. I never read the comic. The comic was printed from 2006 to 12. It's the same creator who did Preacher. This whole thing was kind of to subvert the genre. The whole thing is a slam on conservatism and right-wing values. They do a whole Animal House thing where, like, the younger superheroes are jacking each other off in a frat house. Like, oh yeah, no, this was really very right-wing perspective. The original version, they really ruined it the way they adapted this. Vito P. The only thing that came to mind when the guy removed his shirt was proud to be an American who rude dissidents. Yeah. So is that guy like famous or something?
I guess so.
I guess he is. So. I assumed he was just a rando. Andy Gardner, describe an object, then insert not unlike the Israeli people. A small comedy hack usually works. Yeah, those shortcuts can be helpful. Goo81, the Iranian 14-point plan to the MOU is completely different from what Fox News stated. It looks like capitulation. We'll see.
Yeah, it's not exactly clear. I mean, we put that together as soon as we could in time for the show. I'm sure more information has come to light since the show started. So, things are pretty fluid. But yeah, no, that would not surprise me.
Professor Brown note, Hex says stupid goes to 11.
Yes,
that's right. It really does. Eric Rousseau, Russ, you are here. Shirt needs another circle for Idiocracy.
That's right.
Yeah, you know what? There are a lot of different versions of that shirt. There's some that I feel overdo it. Like there are versions of that shirt that are like 12 properties. It's like that's too busy. Landrew, making it rain. Can't wait to buy put options on SPCX. Trillionaires got to pay. Iran can end this nightmare by ending Israel for world peace and a free Palestine. Is that what you do, man? Are you a traitor? Are you a traitor?
What happened, Landrew? I mean, thank you for the generous donation. It was very kind of you. Did you get in trouble with YouTube? Because you don't usually go over there on Rumble. But that was a big Rumble rant. Thank you, Landrew.
Not only are you going to get a bell, you're going to get some love. You're going to get some love coming from this guy right here.
Hello, I'm Robot. I love you.
There you go. Good.
He loves you. See?
He loves you. Hey, so I found this. You guys want to see something cool? So that's my dad. You guys recognize my dad? He's in the right frame, top with the white hat and the sunglasses. This is the documentary Pinstripe Destiny on the Yankees championship season.
Please wait a moment.
That's my dad at the parade. I was too short to get in the movie, but yeah, there we go. That's us in 1996. Part of the Weiss family, right there.
I gotta find his sound drop. You want to take the next chat? I'm finding his sound drop.
Eric Rousseau, will there be a MAGA grinder secret after party? Yeah, I'm sure. Sure there is. I'm surprised they're not sponsoring it.
Landrew is dead.
Yeah. Thank you, Landrew. Vienticus Prime says, I saw Iran and a couple of other countries are trying to sell off military stuff they got from China because they didn't meet the sales hype. Ravid Laz, over under 75% that after Iran retaliates against the Zio entity, there's another assassination attempt, a false flag, or new Epstein-related info released on Trump to coerce him to join. Yeah, I meant to put my tweet in the slideshow. My tweet on this was that the next Epstein files drop is going to be lit. And it is. It is. We can expect that if past is prologue. All right, folks. Let's move right on along here. We got 2,201 in the YouTube chat. And we got 671 in the like column, just crossed the line. Mastermind says, no, it's not the one asking Derek Jeter to marry him. But I remember that lady. I remember getting there, and that lady had a big sign, "Marry me, Derek Jeter." And they put her in the film, and we got, my dad got included in the side of that shot there. All right. Let's see. Let's move right on along. What do we got? Helen Mirren. That's right.
Okay. So for the youngins, I think even Keaton's too young to remember this. Now, when they first had video stores, they just threw out the MPAA standards. So say you're a 12-year-old who wants to rent Caligula. Sure, no problem. So that was how I first was introduced to Ms. Helen Mirren. Now, later on, when I went on to study theater, I found out that she was this kind of rebel RSC Shakespearean actress who kind of broke the mold and challenged the stuffiness of what was expected of somebody working for the RSC. So she went on a whole like legendary tour of North and West Africa in the Sahara with Peter Brook. He was a legendary director. They went 8,500 miles around Africa performing a version of Conference of the Birds, a 12th century Sufi poem. They went to villages that had never seen theater. They were trying to find a universal language of theater that would communicate concepts and symbols to everybody. Kind of a failed experiment, but a very brave one. And then all the way into her middle age, Cook the Thief, his wife and her lover, was doing this very kind of daring, edgy work, breaking the mold. So this story is really a case of not only, they say don't meet your heroes, you could also say don't learn about your heroes, because I always admired Helen Mirren, especially after I learned about her. And then I learned too much about her. I learned more about her.
Don't jerk off to your heroes.
Don't jerk off to your heroes. That's what I'm trying to get at. I didn't want to. I want to go there. Leave it to you. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Don't go through adolescence on your heroes. Don't do that.
Don't come on your heroes.
Don't have to explain to your mother why the TV is when she gets home. So anyway, so this is the real Helen Mirren, very far from my teenage Caligula inspired fantasies of her.
Things that were wrong.
She's talking about what she witnessed in Israel when she was there. Back in the day, like she had been I didn't even know this. She stayed in a kibbutz with a Jewish boyfriend. So, a lot of these real Israel freaks, I don't know, man. I think they bring you into some Jew tunnels and do some kind of Clockwork Orange thing on you, because they all wind up lifelong Zionists, no matter what evidence is presented to them. Bernie Sanders, RFK, they all wind up that way.
I witnessed things that were wrong. I witnessed, Arabs being thrown out of their houses in Jerusalem. But it was just the extraordinary sort of magical energy and of a country just beginning to put its roots in the ground. It was an amazing time to be here.
How do you get through that sentence? I just don't understand how you even formulate a sentence like that. Yes, I saw things that were wrong, Arabs being thrown out of their houses, but it wasn't a magical time. How do you how do you put those two sentences together? Incredible. So, not all heroes wear capes, and this hero confronted her. This has recently kind of gone viral, but it's actually from November.
Mirren, the avowed Zionist, she said Israel should last forever because of the Holocaust. And she was very happy the Palestinians' houses were gone. You put the post up, you evil old bag. You're an evil Zionist bitch. And you as well. Fuck you and all.
I love this guy. Maybe I'll bring him on as a guest when I'm hosting for Jimmy.
I hope he wasn't wearing the wrong T-shirt. Go to jail for that over there.
Well, funny you mentioned that. So yeah, they didn't do anything about it in November, but for whatever reason, this went viral now. This is from the 28th of May. Actress Helen Mirren is not Jewish. This is from the Hasbro Buster. She was called evil Zionist bitch, not evil Jewish bitch. She was called so because she justified Israeli crimes in an interview. Yet London's Metropolitan Police is probing the incident as one of anti-Semitic verbal abuse.
Oh, for the
That's how they manufacture their vast Jew hate statistics. It's all fake. So yes, so the UK police opened the probe into the man who called her an evil Zionist bitch. But hey, man, being an evil Zionist bitch is not disqualifying for getting honors from the royal family. It's probably helps. Stop the bullocks with Mirabelle says the British state telling you with its whole chest exactly who it is. Bought by Israel. King Charles appoints actor Helen Mirren to a special group in his birthday honors list. All right, so the British have all kinds of very weird customs like this. Dame Helen Mirren is appointed a companion of honor for her outstanding services to drama. This exclusive honor is limited to just 65 living individuals at any one time. The Oscar-winning actress, celebrated for her portrayal of Queen Elizabeth II in the 2006 film The Queen, received the accolade just days after she was verbally abused in central London. Well, that'll take the sting off, I guess. And then there were a lot of rumors going around recently that she got Tom Hardy fired from Mobland. Rumors are circulating that Helen Mirren and Tom Hardy had a falling out on the set of Mobland over the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. A source stated, while they were talking about Londoners, Mirren remarked that people don't realize the suffering caused by the marches for Palestine, and Hardy burst out laughing. Hardy was fired from the series after alienating the producers and his colleagues. All right, so it's kind of hard to get to the bottom of this. There were other stories that he had said he doesn't care about his career. He cares about the children in Palestine. That seems not to be true. I think this particular story, which has been repeated quite a lot, I think that one is true. I think that actually did happen as part of an overall problem they had with Hardy on the set. And I think they were going to fire him, and then they realized they're not going to have a show. So, according to Variety, Tom Hardy was not fired from Mobland, and despite creative tensions, sources say things are being worked through creatively for him to return for season 3. The fallout can be attributed to several factors, including reports of Hardy's tardiness on set and insistence on rewriting some of the script. He's difficult, but he's a movie star, one production source said, suggesting fault on both sides. Yeah, I think they were going to fire him, and they got backlash, and they realized the show would never survive without him. That having been said, Patrick Stewart worked with him in one of the Star Trek movies. I think it was Nemesis. Tom Hardy played the villain, and Stewart found him so odd. He said when they wrapped up shooting, we'll never hear from that man again. He thought he was going to disappear into obscurity. So yeah, he probably is difficult on set, but that particular story about the march is so specific as not over the top like a lot of the other stories coming out are. I'm inclined to believe that particular one is probably true. He did sign a ceasefire for Palestine letter in 2023. But we can only speculate on that. So she did an interview with Variety about that and about her Zionism. This looks like damage control. This looks like she's starting to realize, especially you get to Helen Mirren's age, what is she, like 80? Any day could be your last. You start to worry about how you're going to be remembered. In late May, Mirren expressed support for her Mobland co-star Tom Hardy on Instagram amid unconfirmed reports that the actor was going to be fired due to unprofessional behavior on set. Variety has confirmed that discussions are underway to find a way for Hardy, who plays gangster Harry D'Souza in the Paramount Plus show, to come back. See, this is why I'm saying they're trying to make it like there's no there. Why would he have to come back?
Right.
If they aren't gonna fire him. Like, it doesn't. It's not. Their story is not consistent. Asked by Variety whether she would continue to work with Hardy, Moran was categorical. Absolutely, in a fucking heartbeat. As quickly as I would mow down a group of Palestinian children. That's how fast I'd be there to work with him. The Oscar-winning actor urged journalists to be careful about what they read and see online before clarifying her position on Israel. Yeah, no, that's really vague when you talk about how you saw Arabs thrown out of their house, but it was a magical time.
A magical day, yeah.
You wouldn't want people to misinterpret that or anything.
Yeah.
Quote,
you know, how many times have we, over the past 2.5 years, described Israel as a magical place?
Yes.
Yeah. It's
Yes.
funny. We've never made that mistake.
A veritable fantasia of genocide.
Yeah. It's an easy mistake to make. Even if you don't like a place, it's easy to refer to it as magical.
As magical, yes.
Yeah.
Evil forces are rising everywhere, even in a country like Israel. Even in a country like Israel, she said. How could you possibly repeat the actions of what was done to you as people to other people? Careful there. She added, presumably referring to the Holocaust and the current war in Gaza. I have such great friends from Israel, she went on. The artistic community in Israel, the intellectual community in Israel are so remarkable. I was born at the end of the Second World War. I grew up in Europe post-Second World War, and the realization of my parents' generation of what had happened in the Holocaust was so profound, so important. Therefore, the creation of Israel was a very important moment, although maybe it was done in completely the wrong way, in the wrong place. I don't know, you think?
Yeah.
But something had to happen after the horror.
Just not this.
Not basically anything else.
Right.
Maybe, but this.
Yeah.
Mirren said that she has many Jewish friends, and her first 2 boyfriends were Jewish, including an Englishman with whom she traveled to Israel. I enjoyed the circumcised cock, less smegma, not so much smegma. I made my husband get an adult circumcision. I became so fond of that. With whom she traveled to Israel as a young woman, where she worked in a kibbutz shortly after the 6-Day War of 1967. I'm telling you, man, you go to Israel, you stay in one of those kibbutzes, they clamp your eyes open, they make you listen to the national anthem, they show you images of Palestinians slaughtered to Beethoven's Ninth. That's it. Anyone who stays in one of these kibbutzim, they wind up fanatical Zionists. Referring to the time, she briefly said she saw some things in Israel during the conflict, but didn't elaborate further. Oh, you were in the shit, huh? You saw some things. Mirren later added, okay, this is amazing. When you play Catherine the Great, why was Catherine called the Great? Because she took land. Why was Alexander the Great? Because he took land. He invaded. He killed people. He destroyed cities and he took land. Why is he remembered in history? Because with incredible brutality and unbelievable cruelty, he took land. So it devastates me. That's what I mean. The evil is always lurking, waiting to take over, even in a place like Israel. Yeah, you can see her panicking. She's getting out over her skis and she knows it.
Yeah.
I played Golda Meir and worked in a country that was the idealistic Israel. Oh, I thought you said that you saw Arabs getting thrown out of their homes. I thought even in this interview, you're vaguely indicating you saw some things that you don't want to describe. Hang on, but this was the idealistic Israel that you worked in? And I always thought it was a country that would never do wrong. Well, why did you think that? You said openly you saw them throwing Arabs out of their houses. So why did you think that? But of course they were doing wrong even then. Yeah, this is somebody trying to save their reputation.
Yeah.
There's somebody who sees which way the wind is blowing and is
Yeah.
trying to find a middle. There is no middle on
Yeah.
this subject. There's no middle ground.
No, this is like Mel Gibson trying to talk his way out of a DUI. You know, that's like what that is. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, yeah, yeah, sure, but you know,
well, she's falling back on the Israeli argument. Hey, I mean, genocide, mass slaughter, everybody does it.
right,
You know,
Catherine the Great.
yeah, we like to think I always say this to Israelis because if you push them far enough, they'll talk about Native Americans. So they concede that they're committing a genocide. If you push them enough, they'll start bringing up
Right.
Native Americans. Well, we consider that a horrible crime. We consider that something that if you could go back, shouldn't have happened. So why would we let that happen now?
Right.
We like to think that we've progressed from the 19th century. Yes, you want to say it's terrible that you don't live in the times when they would skin everybody that they conquered and put them in the town square. Sorry. That's what this argument is. And you're going back to Alexander and Catherine the Great. So yeah, she played Golda Meir, and as our friend Max Blumenthal pointed out here, pro-Israel activists freaking out over Bradley Cooper wearing a prosthetic nose to play Leonard Bernstein do not seem as outraged that Gentile actor Helen Mirren did the same when she played Golda Meir. Could that be because Golda is a blockbuster Zionist propaganda vehicle? Yeah, I would say that's probably why, and because Helen Mirren has been such a vocal, staunch advocate for Zionism for so many years, so many decades. But this is part of what's crazy, and this is what makes her kind of awakening so disingenuous. The British and Americans, they have a different way acting style. You know, the British tend to work more with physicality to find the inner life. Americans find the inner life and rely on that to find the physicality. But either way, if you're playing a historical figure like this, you're going to do very deep research. Comes with the territory. There's no actor at Helen Mirren's level, and whatever kind of a horrible human being she might be, she's one of the great actors of her generation. There is absolutely no way she didn't deeply research Golda Meir. So how do you research Golda Meir and come out with a positive attitude towards Israel if you did that kind of research to play that character? This is from Daniel Mayakovsky. Let us remember the character that Helen Mirren portrayed in the film Golda, the genocidal Golda Meir, who said, "We will never forgive the Arabs for forcing us to kill their children." She said that. She said, "One day we may," he's kind of condensing it. She said, "One day we may be able to forgive the Arabs for killing our children, but we'll never be able to forgive them for making us kill theirs." Golda was the first leader of the Zionist apartheid, a racist supremacist and a war criminal guilty of countless ethnic cleansings in Palestine, who stole Palestinian families' homes and even personally occupied them. Meir denied the very existence of the Palestinians themselves and said in a racist manner at the World Zionist Federation that, quote, "the Jews coming from the Middle East had to be civilized to make them equal to the European Jewish settlers." Far from repudiating this criminal, Hollywood made a film whitewashing her as an empowered woman and feminist icon. Now, when I read all this, it brings me back to my childhood because she was the prime minister when I was a child. And yeah, like in Hebrew school, she was a saint. She was an absolute saint back then. If you go, I have not been able to watch the whole special or find it. I've mentioned it a couple times. There are some clips of it on YouTube. Barbara Streisand did an anniversary special for the State of Israel, 1978, on ABC, and they did a live satellite hookup with Golda Meir in that special. You know who was the absolute most horrible villain since Hitler when I was a child? Yasser Arafat. Yasser Arafat was presented to me as a child as the most evil person who had ever lived. This is what he had to say about Golda Meir.
Born in Russia, have the right to live here in this.
Golda Meir was born in Russia.
Golda Meir, who had born in Russia, have the right to live here in this area in Jerusalem more than me. You accept it as a human being. As a human being, do you accept it? I'm asking for the world. And in spite of this, I am saying that let us live together. Equality, peace, and justice.
It's not the way they presented Yasser Arafat to me. They presented him to us like he was Hitler, like he was another Hitler, Yasser Arafat. So Zach here sums it up very well. Helen Mirren doubling down on being a Zionist isn't surprising, but the fact she acknowledges the creation of Israel was done in a wrong way and asks what else could they have done is so incredibly ignorant and out of touch. As if the only option in response to a Holocaust carried out by white Europeans is to steal land from Palestinians and Arabs who never did anything to Jews and then systematically kill, rape, and torture them for decades. This is the exact kind of privileged thinking that shows selective sympathy for one group of people while ignoring others who suffer in the process of that racial hierarchy of dehumanization. Where is this same outrage and solution for the Palestinians after the genocide? Yeah, would Helen Mirren advocate for them to take Israel? I would. I don't think she would. But you know, she's gonna find out who she's dealing with now. Now she's gonna find out who she's dealing with. Jacob Pape, Mirren, another celebrity in panic mode for being accused of Zionism, decides it's essential to protect their career by throwing Israel under the bus. Cringeworthy. Yeah. Here are your allies. Here are the people you've been sticking up for all these decades. Out of matrix. A weak coward. Mirren reiterated her support for the existence of the state of Israel, but said evil forces are rising everywhere, even in a country like Israel. How dare she? How dare she say such a thing? Heidi Bakram. Mirren seems to accuse Israel of committing a Holocaust. How disappointing. And Selma Del Olio. Oh dear, how utterly banal and mainstream Mirren's I guess I better suck up to the pro-Hamas crowd thinking is. Yawn. Yeah, you're going to get it now. You're going to get it now. 90% is not enough for these people. Yeah, you're going to find out who you got in bed with. I wanted to end on a little bit of a positive note. Surprisingly, in increasingly Zio-owned, repressive, fascist England, they dropped the investigation into the guy who called her a Zionist bitch. Very surprising given recent events there. But they did drop the investigation. So yeah, you know what? Sign of the times, man. Sign of the times. I know it can be hard to see it now. You can't have such overwhelming public opinion against Israel and what it's doing and keep a lid on that forever. You can't, which means inevitably everybody who was a leading proponent of Zionism, like Helen Mirren, is going to try to do this. They're all going to try to do this. She's one of among the first of many. They're all going to try to scramble away from their previous position when it becomes untenable. And it is going to become increasingly untenable.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to have the fanatics for whom Zionism is part of their
Savetsky
brand.
is never going to...
Right. I mean, that's who they are. That's part of their brand. That's part of their public persona at that point. Like Michael Rappaport, like Lisa Savetsky. I mean, these are Zionist influencers. Even Jerry Seinfeld, as horrible as he is, doesn't go out of his way to advocate for Israel. He just, expresses his contempt for human life whenever he is asked about it, by somebody. But for a lot of these people,
it doesn't do any ads for apartment complexes.
Right, exactly. Right, exactly. But for a lot of these people, especially the people who have been around for as long as she has, because what she says is true there, that there was this feeling post-war that some reparations had to be paid to the Jews. Now, I don't necessarily believe that's true.
Probably
in
the
the sense that
people
we
who
needed,
should have done that would have been the Germans.
right. Like, I don't necessarily believe that's true, at least not in the sense that we needed a state. I don't think we needed a state. But if we did need a state, if the world insisted on giving the Jewish people
We
a
would have
state,
settled for a tailor shop.
we would have just settled for a tailor shop. That's right. Germany was split into 4 parts after World War II. They're the ones who did the crime, not the Arabs, who had nothing to do with the Holocaust. So if reparations were to be paid to the Jews after the Holocaust, they should have been paid from the people who actually brutalized them, not Arabs who had nothing to do with it, which she kind of reckons with there. Because why? Because she's forced to. Like, for generations, people of Mirren's age have just taken the nobility of the Zionist project as a given, and I'm sure people in show business, haven't had much incentive or reason, for that matter, to think about it any more deeply than that. And so, now that this has happened, it's going to eventually filter down to the fanatical Zionists for whom pro-Israel advocacy is inseparable from their public persona, like the Rappaports and the Savetsky's and them. And then everybody else is going to, some little by little, some all at once, some at a pace sort of in between, are going to distance themselves from this. There's no way they can. It doesn't make good business sense for them at this point. At the end of the day, all these people are basically just starfuckers. That they don't really care. They don't really care either way. Yes, there are a lot of influential Zionist Jews in Hollywood, which gives them an incentive to, do the kinds of things that Leo DiCaprio does. Hey, we'll open a hotel in Tel Aviv, right? But even he's not. Is he doing ads for that hotel? Is he making himself the face of that hotel? No, because even he knows this is not good. This is not good. So you're going to be stuck with the fanatics and the fanatics alone at the end of the day.
Well, reading through that rambling, what really struck me is, that matches my experience of actors. They're fucking ding dongs.
Yeah, they don't.
They're ding dongs. They go where the wind blows.
Right.
Where they have political opinions. They're usually very ill-conceived, which is why this is something I think we can all agree on. They should shut the fuck up at these award shows. Because they're among the least qualified people in the world to be offering opinions on these matters. My experience of gifted actors, and she's an incredibly gifted actor, is they're kind of like idiot savants. They pick up on things they don't quite understand, and they're able to convey them because they're empathic and they're intuitive. But then if you sit down with them, you realize they're a lot dumber than their performances would suggest they are. That's what I got from that.
Yeah, well, a lot of times being an actor, a lot of times as an actor, you have to equip yourself with a sort of superficial understanding of a certain thing.
Right.
Like if you're playing Queen Elizabeth, as she did.
Right.
Yeah, you have to learn enough about her to play her. So you'll gain a superficial knowledge of that subject matter.
Right.
But could you hold your own, in a conversation with someone who actually studied the monarchy for real, not just in preparation for a part? Almost certainly not, right? And this is where, being an actor is just kind of weird thing, because they tend to be, not all, obviously, tend to be kind of intellectually incurious, yet a lot of times part of their job is to immerse themselves enough in a subject to the point where they can fake their way through a play or whatever.
Right. The way that their minds work, this is why you didn't always have directors, but you need them. Because the way that actors' minds work, somebody has to tell them what to do. That's how they are. So when they start trying to assert themselves on these kinds of subjects, they just don't have the kind of macro way of thinking about things that would lend itself to political analysis.
Right. Exactly. All right. We will move on right along now. Let's have a quick word from our friends at Rumble Wallet. So, quick question for you all. How are you managing your money in the new economy? And do you have as much control over your money as you think? Well, technology is changing fast, and Rumble Wallet is getting in on the action. Here to tell you about Rumble Wallet today. They take all the complexity of the new economy and make it super simple. You could scan the QR code up on the screen right now, click the link in the description, or go to wallet.rumble.com. And once you get started, you can use your Rumble wallet to send us Rumble Ranch just like you do the old-fashioned way. It's a super helpful, useful, quick, and easy way to support your favorite creators here on Rumble. You can choose what you'd like: Bitcoin, dollar-backed stablecoins, or even digital gold backed by real gold. There's no complicated setup. It connects you with MoonPay, so you can use your credit card, your debit card, or your bank and be up and running in minutes. And once you are set up, you can, of course, send us Rumble Ranch just as you do normally. Right before you go to send it, it'll ask you whether you want to tip your favorite creators in US dollars or through your Rumble wallet. That's it. No added steps, no complicated setup, no complicated process when it comes to using your Rumble wallet on the Rumble platform. So you can get started right now. It's super quick and easy. Scan that QR code on the screen, click the link to download the Rumble wallet, wallet.rumble.com. From there, you get set up. You can tap buy, and you are in the games. That's Rumble Wallet, wallet.rumble.com. You can get started right now by scanning that QR code with your phone up on the screen. Okay, let's move right on along here. Vienticus Prime. I saw Iran and a couple other countries are trying to sell off. Sorry, lost it. Sell off military stuff they got from China because they didn't meet the sales. Oh, sorry, got that one already. Thank you, Vienticus. Appreciate that. El Cazador says, so Miriam ordered a 25-incher. She'll be visiting the White House with Russell's Snake Plissken t-shirt, sweat and all. And we are about to get the Epstein files released by IT-Team 8200. That's right. Vienticus, how long before Trump starts bragging he felches better than RFK Jr.? I heard rumors RFK was about to quit. Didn't we almost do that? Russell, you saw that, right?
Yeah. Supposedly after the 4th of July.
After the holiday. A friend said today, I used to like basketball, then I grew up. Oh, come on. You gotta
I look, even I would not say something like that.
Yeah, that is even beyond what Russell would say. Russell, did you also watch Gen V and Diabolical?
Yes, I did. Listen, there were problems.
Is that the 5th generation, not Gen V? The 5th generation, is that what they called it?
No, Gen V, because it was about the college superheroes. It was, you know what that was? It was basically the younger team thing that I'm actually reading now. I'm like 1/3 of the way into the series. It's a long series. It ran for 6 years. That was kind of their take on that. Look, they changed a lot of things. I don't know favorably, like artistically. And there were a lot of problems just aesthetically, artistically, structurally with the later seasons. I'm not saying it maintained its quality all the way through. I don't think it did, but not for the reasons that they're claiming.
All right. Saucer says, Russ, please do another Star Wars video essay or maybe an MCU criticism. Just got back from SpaceCon here in San Antonio, Texas, and recently watched your last Star Wars commentary.
I had a lot of fun doing that. Honestly, what we're talking about now, if I did an essay like this, like that, in that neighborhood, it would probably be about that. It would probably be about how nerd culture they got so angry about ruining their favorite franchises that they turned into reactionary goons that the figures that they most admire would have hated. George Lucas saw the rebels as a proxy for the Viet Cong. That was his inspiration. It was supposed to be the Viet Cong fighting the United States. Like the Gene Roddenberry, the first interracial kiss on TV was on Star Trek. Like these were all very, very left-wing creators and artists who would have hated the nerd culture that cries all night about the wokeness. And hey, I do agree that stuff destroyed these franchises. But do you have to become a reactionary psycho who supports shooting unarmed women in their cars because maybe you'll get a good season of Doctor Who out of it? Like, what the fuck? What the fuck is wrong with you, man?
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say Mark Pugliese, Russ, Nico House had a thing on I don't know about Mamdani. I wrote in the chat that you said you got bad vibes on him from the first time you spoke with him. Mamdani?
I felt like he was a very slick politician. He knew what he didn't want to answer. He already had that in place, and he ducked my question. Yeah. And there's nothing I've seen from him since that changed my mind about that.
He knew what he was doing. Mint 72. Respect to you guys. Thank you, Mint. Appreciate that. Respect to you, Mint. PW Walker, Israel, we put our roots down so we could shove batons up the buttholes of prisoners. Yeah, that's right. David Santucci, Age of Consent is another good Helen Mirren movie, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Never saw that one. I haven't seen her in much, actually. I thought the Queen was good. That's the last thing I remember seeing her in.
Okay, I'm going to make a case for Caligula. People still debate Caligula as a movie. I will argue that movie wound up being accidentally brilliant. The elements in place in that movie, just purely on that, is something that will never happen again. That was such an unlikely cacophony of elements. You had Tinto Brass directed it. And then he got fired, and Bob Guccione cut in all this XXX sex. But you have this Shakespearean cast. You have Helen Mirren. You have John Gielgud is in that movie. You have Peter O'Toole as Tiberius. You have Malcolm McDowell, who you could not have cast Caligula at that that era better.
Well, they had adult
use
film
Malcolm
stars
McDowell.
do the sex scenes in it.
Yes, that got cut in separately because basically Bob Guccione decided it needed it. But this, I feel, is and you know who wrote the screenplay? Gore Vidal.
Yeah, Gore Vidal.
That's a Gore Vidal screenplay. So you've got a Gore Vidal screenplay with some of the greatest British actors of that era, being directed by a great director, with Bob Guccione cutting in XXX scenes later. What you wind up with is something that in the end conveys what the decadence of Rome was probably like better than anything else that's ever been made. Accidentally. I think they kind of fell into creating a movie that was so excessive that you feel that. And because of the level of quality of the artists involved, it has weight. It's not just like camp. Like that could easily have just been camp, but it doesn't play that way.
Right. EO Shush, Russ, if you thought about doing a New York Jew tunnel tour, what the fuck is going on? Kim Iverson just did a video of 70 Jewish girls who got lost in the sewers in NYC.
Listen, man, in this business, you got to be willing to admit when you're wrong. I think I was wrong about that. I saw that. I was like, man, I'm doing Jimmy's on the 24th. I guess I'll have to do a follow.
You have to do a
retraction. Me a culpa.
Yes.
One too many tunnels at this. I give.
Did she witness theaters that existed in Palestine before and after 48 that was being systematically decimated by Zios in Israel? No acknowledgement of Palestinian creators. Please watch Farha. I'll have to look up the last letters of that and finish.
Well, that it's an interesting point because Peter Brook assembled an international group to do that. I have the book. They made a book about it. I'm curious if he had any even Middle Eastern people. I would imagine he did. And how did they feel about that? So it's a part of it. That definitely did not come up in the book about it.
Raven Laz, RFK on the couch in the AI Springer show at the White House after Jerry 2.0 brings out a dozen mistresses after RFK denied infidelity. I don't know what those broads are. Ha, good one. Carolina 56. There's no way in hell the U.S. is not aware of Israel bombing Beirut. The U.S. can claim innocence and good faith while Israel takes the blame. That's the deal between the two countries. All theater. Thank you, Carolina. Certainly possible. But, you know, I do think I said from June of last year, Trump wants out of it. Fuck Helen Mirren and fuck Joan Rivers too. Yeah, she was another horrible one.
Yeah.
Gold in my ears, real last name is Mabovovich from Ukraine and came to Palestine as it stated on her passport from the USA, and she stole a mansion built by a Palestinian after he was forced to flee. Thank you, Goo. Vientikis, Israel exhibits one of the most bizarre patterns of human behavior. I feel hurt, so I need to take it out on someone who obviously never have anything to do with my pain. Exactly. Also, Mabovich ordered Mossad to unalive Ghassan Khalafani, a known poet, because JFK was in talks with him to secure peace. Jody, Mirren of Russian Jewish descent related to my year. Oh, interesting.
No, really? Because she's not Jewish.
Yeah, I don't know. Goo81, lastly, shocking, the UK dropped charges. They have sentenced 4 Palestine Action activists as terrorists for destroying an Elbit system properly without jury knowing what will be the case.
It was on my list of stories. It just didn't make it.
Comrade Cranky, Israel is the last ghetto for the Jews. And Mint gives us a wave and $10. Thank you, Mint. Appreciate that.
You.
All right, want to move right along?
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I forgot.
That's right.
Forgot we're going right to me.
Yeah.
All right. What's really frightening about this story is of these tech CEOs who are building out these AI models, Dario Amodei is the most responsible of them. And it's not nearly enough to save us from mass destruction, I think. So here he was back in February talking about things that could go wrong in war if you give these AI systems autonomy.
2 examples of what could go wrong.
So the kind of thing that there are 2 classes of things that I could imagine could go wrong. One, again, is around this idea of reliability, which is just it targets the wrong person, it shoots a civilian, it doesn't show the judgment that a human soldier would show. Friendly fire or shooting a civilian or just the wrong kind of things. We don't want to sell something that we don't think is reliable, and we don't want to sell something that could get our own people killed or that could get innocent people killed.
Okay, so now keep in mind, that's as good as it gets. And as you'll see as we go on, he is an absolute imperialist champion of American empire. He is perfectly comfortable having these systems integrated into the U.S. military. And something that you'll note right there, and this is a big blind spot at best, is his assumption that if you put these tools in the hands of humans, they'll use them in a way that is acceptable. He's assuming as long as there's a human in the loop, you can empower them with this targeting system that allows them to kill 1,000 times faster, because a human isn't going to do horrible things with that. But if you make it autonomous, well, that's where you have problems. So interestingly enough, turns out this system might have been responsible for targeting the girls' school in Manab. And he was asked about that.
Bloomberg has reported that Claude is being used by the U.S. military in the war in Iran to do AI-assisted targeting via a platform made by Palantir, Maven Smart System. In February, a U.S. missile reportedly hit a girls' school in Iran, killing more than 150 people, most of them children. Did Claude play a role in that strike?
We don't know exactly how, these models were used. Obviously, these things that mistakes that happen in warfare are really, really terrible. Like, this is a really terrible thing to happen. We were willing to risk the future of our company to limit how, these models are used. And what you're talking about is a use case that doesn't even violate our red lines. We're worried that there will be 100 times as much.
Keep going.
With use case.
You're not going to pursue that. You're not going to pursue that because that could be very fruitful, right? You see, this doesn't even violate your red lines, and look what happens. So maybe it's just bad to have this integrated into the military. He's not going to go there though.
Cases that do violate our red lines. Now, again, I would say I think overall the use of these models is appropriate. I think it's good on net. But military decision makers make terrible mistakes, even at the best of times. And I don't know if we're in the best of times. What we've seen here is Claude assists, but a human makes the final call. So a human made that final call, not Claude. Imagine if you had a world in which, not Claude, because we haven't allowed it, but someone else's AI model, the AI model just makes the decision and the human never sees it. That's what we were standing up for. That's what we were fighting against.
This school had a website. You could have found it in a Google search. Like, shouldn't Claude have spotted that? And does it speak to a scarier issue about using technology as a shortcut in war?
The principle that was obeyed here is a human makes the final decision.
Right.
I don't know
you
what
keep
role
saying
Claude or
that.
any other-
You keep saying that. You got a schoolhouse full of dead girls, right? So I don't think it's any comfort to their parents that a human made that decision based on faulty information from your AI model. So your AI model gave bad information to a human, and a human acted on that information. I don't see how that's better.
Yeah, if the human is Pete Hegseth, they'd probably rather the robot had done it.
Yes, exactly.
AI had, but if this isn't an illustration why that principle is so important, I don't know what is.
No, it really isn't.
Is AI warfare more likely to stop World War III, a war between the U.S. and China, or is it more likely to make it happen?
I would say on balance, it is more likely to stop it. But if we have no limits on how it's used, then I think, it could be more likely to cause it. You've seen Dr. Strangelove, right? The premise of it was you have a doomsday device that automatically fires nuclear weapons when it thinks nuclear weapons are being fired at it. What could go wrong, right? I think the way conflicts happen is that, the two sides jump at each other. They misunderstand each other. And when we don't have proper oversight of this technology, I think those kinds of accidents are more likely to happen.
You're talking to me all wrong. It's the wrong tone.
Messing with his business model there. He can't admit that this is more likely to cause the end of the world than not. Oh, yeah, no. In what scenario does this make World War III less likely? In what scenario? And remember, this guy is the best of them. This guy is the best of them. And when she asks him that question, he's like Bill Gates being asked about Epstein Island. He's shitting himself when she's asking him that, because he knows that this is a threat to life on planet Earth. He knows that. Come on. So he went on a little bit, going to his overall views on American empire. And this also gives you some insight into the demands of empire, that this guy is too much for them, that this guy's company and his very small requirements that there be a human in the loop and that his systems not be used for mass surveillance, that was too much for them. Overall, this guy is a complete advocate for American hegemony.
A long-standing anti-war stance, and yet you were one of the first AI companies to sign a contract with the Department of Defense to operate on classified networks. These are the networks that the U.S. uses to fight wars. Explain that.
Look, I mean, the world changes. My view of this technology, when I see Russia invading Ukraine, when I see the risk of China invading Taiwan, it worries me that we have a kind of resurgent authoritarian bloc. That they're very aggressive and that we need to defend ourselves.
They're aggressive.
I may not agree with every policy of either administration, but, that's why we've generally been supportive of this.
So how do you feel when we start bombing Iran on behalf of a foreign country? Is that authoritarian? Does that bother you? That's what I'm saying. This guy is a lefty as far as the war machine is concerned in America. And here, you're kind of taught that these guys are brilliant, that they're very smart. We should listen to them. Here's what he says about importing chips or exporting chips to China.
I've been very outspoken about the need for export controls on chips to China. I say this because I think it would be really bad for America, for the state of democracy in the world, for China to be ahead in AI capabilities. And it's like some of the chip makers obviously don't agree with that view, but it hasn't stopped me from saying it. Even after we've signed more partnerships, I'm sure they wish we didn't say these things, but these things are what I believe. And so, look, we're all adults here. We can work together on one thing while disagreeing about another thing.
Wow, that's a really brilliant insight. So we did impose restrictions on chips to China. How did that go? NVIDIA said it has largely conceded China's AI chip market to Huawei. Huawei developed its own. And now they don't even want the NVIDIA chips because they don't want the United States to have that kind of leverage over their supply chain. So now they're saying, you know what, we're just going to keep developing our own. So what are you talking about? What are you talking about? This is a country of 1.4 billion people that's living in another century from the United States. They can develop their own chips, which they already have. So this is what I'm saying. These people are supposed to be smart. You don't read the news. You don't know that was the result of blocking them from having chips. And he's the best of these guys. He is the best of them. He is the least creepy and sociopathic. His peers are Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Sam Altman. Next to these guys, he's Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, Alex Karp.
Alex Karp, exactly. Anthropic CEO doesn't know if Claude used in Iran's school strike. This is from Bloomberg. Hamza Chowdhury at the Future of Life Institute, a group that emphasizes the risks of military AI, warns that AI targeting processes could ultimately speed up so fast that nominal human decision-making amounts to little more than a rubber stamp. As a result, he said, the expanded scale of combat could result in the taking of many more lives. Modi's comments bolster previous reporting from Bloomberg News that AI frontier companies have little oversight of the powerful, sometimes unreliable, and potentially deadly tools they're sending into combat. At the same time, the Pentagon is seeking to accelerate its AI adoption on the battlefield. The Anthropic CEO triggered a row with the Trump administration earlier this year by drawing a line at using his company's AI tools in fully autonomous weapons and mass domestic surveillance. As a result, the Pentagon made the unprecedented decision to designate the U.S. company as a supply chain risk, triggering a lawsuit from Anthropic that is ongoing. Now, this just happens to be developing at the same time. They just shut down their latest AI model for foreign export. It's a little bit from Anthropic about that. The U.S. government, citing national security authorities, has issued an export control directive to suspend all access to Fable 5 and Mythos 5 by any foreign national, whether inside or outside the United States, including foreign national Anthropic employees. And guess who got this done? Amazon. Amazon called the White House and claimed that there was a way to take down the safeguards that had been put in to block the more dangerous features of Mythos. You might remember a couple of months ago, Anthropic put out a statement saying they had developed a model so powerful that it was able to find security defects in every widely used browser on the internet. So they would only release it to a very limited number of companies to work with and experiment with, and not to the general public. They developed a lobotomized version, basically, for consumer use. That's what's gotten blocked. Anotita Maliwa. Amazon absolutely executed a textbook corporate hit job and used the White House as the weapon. Maybe, as an investor in Anthropic, I don't know what their relationship is like. Microsoft, Bill Gates. So was this an indirect way of taking a shot at Bill Gates? Anthropic's about to go public. There's a very bad thing to happen right before they're going to do an IPO. So Crypto Freak sums up what happened. U.S. government blocked all foreign nationals from Fable 5 and Mythos 5. Anthropic had to cut access for everyone. Official reason, someone found a jailbreak. Anthropic checked it. Basically, quote, read this code base and fix bugs. Same capability exists in GPT 5.5 and other public models. Nothing Fable specific. Thousands of hours of red teaming with U.S. government before launch, no universal jailbreak found. Anthropic complies but disagrees. This standard applied industry-wide would halt all frontier model deployments. All other Anthropic models unaffected. Yeah, I mean, this is revenge. Now, the White House is trying to portray it as if Anthropic was being unreasonable. They gave them every opportunity, but somebody didn't tell the drunk, as we'll see. And you know who else cannot get access? This is great. Anthropic, this is from Polymarket, Anthropic says a huge percentage of its own employees are now barred from accessing Fable 5 and Mythos 5 under U.S. restrictions. What's the greatest percentage of their employees affected? 62% of the affected employees are in research and AI safety. Well, that's going to make us safer when you don't give access to the research and AI safety people to look at the model. And then the next highest is engineering. Presumably that would be the people who would know how to fix any problems with the model. XF put down the bottle long enough to tweet. 3 months ago, Department of War kicked Anthropic AI out of our building forever. Every passing day proves why that was the right move. Yeah. So I'm inclined, look, Anthropic was running around talking about how dangerous Mythos was for months. So it's kind of hard now for them to make the case that the model's not dangerous. But given who we're dealing with and given the information available, it looks like probably this is just extending the fight they've been in with Anthropic for several months. Back to the article. At the same time, the Pentagon is seeking to accelerate its AI adoption on the battlefield. The Anthropic CEO, sorry about that. Okay.
Got it.
Yeah. I repeated the same thing. All right, give me 1 second. I'm gonna have to cut this a little bit. Okay, there we go. U.S. Central Command is using an AI-assisted platform named Maven Smart System that uses Claude and other AI tools to help generate so-called points of interest, help its personnel make decisions, and speed up processes for its military operations against Iran. The command has emphasized the unusually high quantity of targets that U.S. operators have hit in a short period of time, striking 1,000 targets in the first 24 hours of operations and 13,000 targets by April 6th, little more than a month after operations began. Quote, there's a lot of governance pieces that, in my opinion, are missing. Jack Shanahan, retired Air Force Lieutenant General and former director of Project Maven, the Pentagon effort that birthed Maven Smart System, told a Stanford University workshop devoted to the future of decision-making last week. He warned that integrating Claude into Maven Smart System could lead to unexpected impacts and dilute the role of human judgment. While one advantage of AI is to give humans more time to make decisions, Shanahan said he worried that type A personalities in the military may use that extra time to make more decisions rather than better decisions. Like if, say, you had a drunk loser as your Secretary of Defense, and you empowered him with these systems. I think that's the kind of scenario he's thinking of. If you make more decisions rather than the right decisions, you may have a very flawed decision-making process, he said. You may have 1,000 targets, but are they the right targets? And look, if he understands this and he's saying this, Dario Amode certainly understands this and knows this. Everything he's saying, he's full of shit. If he told the truth, it's going to shave hundreds of millions off his stock price. He can't admit how dangerous this is, but he has to understand this, that if you are giving people a technology, even if you keep a human in the loop, that gives them the ability to hit 100 times more targets. That's 100 times more destruction when they make bad decisions based on the information they get from the AI, which, as we saw from the girls' school, could be inaccurate in and of itself. So this was a good meme. They also have AIs of the three horsemen of the apocalypse here: Sam Altman, Dario Amode, and Elon Musk. So yeah, this is end of the world stuff. It is end of the world stuff. You get, even if you keep a human in the loop. From what I didn't quite understand this myself until I did the research for this, that what the AI is doing is giving them a target package that humans would not be fast enough to come up with in that amount of time. And now, as we've seen with this girls' school, you can't even rely on it to be accurate. But even if you could rely on it to be accurate, is that power that you want in the hands of this freaking country? Any country, really, but particularly this country? You want this country to be better at killing people? That's really what you're doing. And when you listen to Amode, that's why I say it's terrifying that he's the best of them, because he's completely on board with the whole U.S. hegemony imperialistic viewpoint. He's talking about these countries that aren't invading anyone, that aren't killing anybody, as the authoritarian threats to peace. So he's on board with all of that, which is part of why he can see his way clear to arguing that giving what is clearly a doomsday weapon to the most warlike nation in the history of planet Earth, I think you could fairly argue at this point, is not going to lead to an actual doomsday. The idea that of responding to the question of whether this is more or less likely to start World War III with less, absolutely ridiculous. Obviously, this is a doomsday weapon on par with nuclear weapons. That would be like answering when they invented atomic weapons. You think this is more or less likely to lead to the destruction of the planet? Obviously, it's more. This is the kind of thing, in addition to the economic apocalypse, that he is one of the leading proponents of saying is coming. And I'm inclined to believe that. As you see how quickly. I didn't use Firefly for a while, couple months. It's about 50% better than it was 2 months ago. Like, you could see how quickly, that's an image generating thing from Adobe. You can see how quickly this stuff is advancing. So how quickly do you think it's advancing in this area?
Well, yeah, and not only do you dread this power in the hands of a government like this one, but in particular an administration like this one, which is very, very open about their disregard for any kind of international law or concern for civilians. I mean, that's why they named this the Department of War. I mean,
Right.
Pete Hegseth
Right.
brags about the unprecedented might of our military. Donald Trump brags about how he built the military up. And, this is one of the great cons of the MAGA movement, is that a lot of people thought they were voting against this kind of thing when in fact they were voting for this. Now, to be fair, this infiltration is not strictly a function of just how vacuous and unprincipled Donald Trump and his team are. It is equally a function, if not more so a function, of the fact that, for example, Elon Musk is a trillionaire. I mean, they can weasel their way into any system they want. these are the Ubermenschen. I mean, these are the gods of tomorrow. That's how they see themselves. That's how society sees them. Obviously, if that weren't the case, Elon Musk wouldn't be a trillionaire. You know, I didn't use this in the piece because it was kind of muddied. We're going to do a piece on Elon, but, you know, Mark Cuban talked about how, well, he wouldn't be a trillionaire if, you know, so many people weren't chomping at the bit to invest in SpaceX. And you know what? He's kind of right about that. He's kind of right about that. And that is just a very sad commentary on what this country is and what this country values, right? The fact that so many people want a piece of that action. Well, what does that tell you? Right. And so they can weasel their way into anywhere. This is not just about Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth. But when you look at a guy like Pete Hegseth, I mean, that is alarming in ways that it wouldn't be with a guy like Lloyd Austin. Not that Lloyd Austin is a saint. He is not. But with Pete Hegseth, you are talking about essentially a cartoon character.
You're talking about an unstable drunk.
You're talking about it. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about a cartoon character. I mean, he is an unstable drunk who, you know, fancies himself, you know, this biblical hero of sorts. You know, I mean, he's a fucking lunatic. He's nuts. He's insane. He's as crazy as the tech sociopaths who made this shit, you know? And so you add those things together. I mean, is Pete Hegseth's input more valuable than a robot's input? No, I wouldn't. I don't think so. I think James Mattis's input maybe. You know, Mattis, who was the first Secretary of Defense under Trump 1. Yeah, I mean, I would trust him more than a robot, perhaps. Do I trust Pete Hegseth more than a robot? No, I actually trust Pete Hegseth less than a robot. It's actually a step down. And so that is something to think about, too, in the short term. In the long term,
which he has to understand.
Well, of course.
Like, you have no control over the people who are using this. You're putting too much power in people's hands. He has to understand that.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, this is one of the ways in which, you know, there really was not the reckoning with AI that there needed to be and that there needs to be moving forward. You know, nobody fucking ran on data centers. Nobody knew what a data center was during the campaign seasons. Nobody votes for any of this shit. They get in. All of a sudden, 6,000 data centers go, whoa. Who said anything about that? You know, but, you know, so you put the Mavericks in charge and then equip them with this. I mean, it's the Wild West now. It's always been the Wild West, but now, I mean, it's particularly volatile for that reason. And I think a guy like, I forget his name. What's his name? Dario Adam,
Amode.
Amode, yeah. You know, I think, you know, for guys who have been like working on this technology for the last several decades, I think now that they see the hands that it ended up in, I think a large part of them kind of thinks, oh shit, what have we done? But of course, like you said, they can't say that. What are they going to say that?
Right.
And they can't, right? Especially if they go public. Now they have a fiduciary responsibility not to say it. Now they're obligated not to say it.
You can get sued. You get sued by the shareholders.
Exactly. All right. Jake, you want to throw the scroll up on the screen, please? All right. So, hey, folks, if you'd like to support the show, dudissidents.com/Patreon/Substack or /locals. You could do so for as little as $5 a month. It is the best way to support us. You guys are the backbone of the show. Members get a shout out on the show scroll. You also get bonus content. We're going to be doing a members only post game on Tuesday in addition to a members Q&A. You get that once a month. You also get film night once a month with our partners at Right Brain TV. And you get call-in access to all of our post-show Q&As every Sunday night after the main show over on Rumble. Tonight is Sunday, so we will be doing Q&A after the show. Signing up at any of those links at the top of the screen gets you call-in access to that Q&A. So thanks very much for your support. Those are the links if you'd like to sign up. All right. Do you want to take some chats, or are you loading in videos? Do you need me to take some?
I think I'm done.
All right, cool.
All right. All right, Vianticus Prime. A lot of people just consider those reactionary types as tourists. You see the same thing going on in anime fandom right now. Hey, man, those tourists are defining the conversation because they have channels with millions of views on them.
Right.
Like they are defining the conversation. John, putting all of my money into Rumble Wallet. Peter Thiel would never abuse that, right? What could go wrong? Love from Florida.
Well, you don't keep it there. You give it to us.
You
send
give it to us, man.
Yeah.
We put it there, and then we go out to dinner.
Yeah.
Freddie X, we did a Backrooms Obsession double feature yesterday. Both very good. Obsession was my favorite horror since 2023's Talk to Me. My hair stood on end 3 times. Free the Hormuzians. Yeah, I think I'm going to go see that next week.
Yeah, I heard of it, but I don't know what it is.
Well, it's an interesting phenomenon. It's something a lot of people have seen coming. I've been saying this for a while. Like, these kids who grew up making these videos on YouTube, they're getting movie deals now, and their movies are blowing these big budget studio productions out of the water. One of the Backrooms, this is a 20-year-old kid. He started making
Backrooms. Yeah,
he started making horror movies on YouTube when he was 12.
Yeah, some of those are really cool. Yeah, Backrooms does look cool. Obsession is the one that I don't really know.
Obsession looks more up my alley, and I also it seems like it's the better movie. But yeah, from being on YouTube, it trained them how to hold attention. So they wind up being filmmakers with a very good sense of pacing. And yeah, man, there you've got these huge budget movies, He-Man, Mandalorian and Grogu, being blown away by these relatively small budget horror movies made by basically kids who learned on YouTube how to make movies. Eric Rousseau, so I hear the PSYOP movie Disclosure Day is a flop. Spielberg losing his game. Yeah, everyone says he should retire. Everyone says that there's Ali versus who was they fought? Larry Holmes. There's the Larry Holmes fight. David Santucci, didn't realize Tinto Brass was the original director of Caligula. Maybe I'll check it out. Yeah, and he got fired. He got fired, and then Guccione came in and put in. He got a bunch of porn actresses and put it in triple XS. Vietica's Prime, recently Crunchyroll decided to have an anime award show in Japan with no Japanese animation studio even knowing about it. That's behavior of reactionaries, fandom colonialism. Yeah, why would they do that? That's weird. I mean, especially because everything seems to be going towards everyone wants Japanese animation and manga. Like, why would you exclude them? Makes no sense. Emrish 999. Did you know that Arafat's mother was Jewish? Is that true?
I did not know that.
I have never heard that. Okay. That would make him Jewish, according to Jewish law.
Yeah.
Russell's Peasant Mind, Deep Space Nine had the first lesbian kiss on TV. But woke, I knew that. I knew that. I was never a fan of I didn't get into Deep Space Nine, but I know a lot of people did. Rooster 911, long-time subscriber, but first chance to tune in live. Really, I always learn so much and feel smarter for having watched you. Thank you. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you.
I feel dumber for having listened to me. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. Glad you could tune in. All right, let's move right on along, folks. All right, so hey, the news is scary and often depressing nowadays, but this is an inspirational story. SpaceX CEO Elon Musk rings the NASDAQ opening bell as the company officially goes public, setting him up to be the world's first trillionaire. Trillionaire. With a T. That's what they're going to have to say. Remember, they would say billion with a B. Well, now it's trillion with a T. Yep. Here's Elon Musk opening up the NASDAQ.
All about is to take the fiction out of science fiction and create an exciting, inspiring future for everyone. We want to be able to take anyone who wants to go to the moon, anyone who wants to go to Mars, or anyone in the solar system, and maybe beyond the solar system at some point. We want to be able to take you there. Not just a few astronauts. I mean, you. literally you. There are always problems on Earth. There are always problems on Earth. There are always things that we wish to be better, that we want to solve here on Earth, and we should solve them. But there also have to be things that get you excited about the future.
Yeah, like, for example, if the Earth becomes overrun with the blacks, then we can go to Mars. It's good to have a backup plan. Good to have an escape plan. Now we can. Anybody who wants to go to space can go to space. Say if a Muslim moves into your house next door and you can't get a visa to go to a foreign country, you can just go to space and live there.
You can go to Mars. You know what I really liked?
It's better
about
than
that,
living next to a Muslim in Britain.
What I really liked about that movie was Matt Damon grew those potatoes, and he was the only one there. So it was you could say Mars was all white in that movie.
Yes, they have very good demographic control there.
That make you glad to wake up in the morning because you can't wait to see what happens next. And that's the future that SpaceX wants to bring to you.
What he didn't actually come to New York? Did he come to New York?
No, I guess he's in Texas. Yeah, I did that remotely. Well, with that opening bell, Elon Musk did become the world's first trillionaire. That's right. Now, I like the way the Today Show reported on this. We're going to watch this. This is a few minutes, but I think it's interesting to see how they reported on this. Elon Musk's trillionaire status signals growing wealth gap in the U.S. Oh, does it? Does it signal a growing wealth gap? I'd say.
I heard something about that.
Now that Jeff Bezos is the one slumming it at $200 billion, now there's a wealth gap. There's a wealth gap between Elon Musk and the second richest person on Earth now. So here is the Today Show pointing out the obvious.
This week, Elon Musk became the world's first trillionaire after his SpaceX company went public. The record-shattering IPO boosted the stock market and instantly minted a new class of billionaires. Just days earlier, meanwhile, a new report showed inflation at its highest point in the United States in 3 years. So how to make sense of an economy where those at the top are thriving while everyone else struggles to pay the bills?
How do we make
NBC
sense
News
of that?
business and economy reporter Ali Canal has our Sunday focus.
Explain it to us.
It was a launch unlike any other. SpaceX, the company started by Elon Musk in 2002, became a publicly traded company on the NASDAQ on Friday.
Now, as you're watching this, I mean, just think to yourself how this very news report could be like the opening montage of a dystopian science fiction movie. Like,
yes.
This is what the opening montage of a sci-fi movie would be.
and intercut it with the motorcycles in front of the White House.
Yeah, right. With the motorcycles. Yeah. What's going on with that anyway? Are they fucking are they eating each other's asses on the White House lawn yet? What's going on with that? Is that still on, or did they have to postpone it for the weather?
Could someone invite those trans women back? Get a little horny watching these fights.
Yeah.
It is certainly hard to believe that a little company that started in a warehouse in El Segundo is now going public with the largest IPO ever.
The stock's massive initial public offering pushing the tech mogul's net worth to trillionaire status. A number so astronomical that if you stacked 1 trillion pennies on top of one another, it would take you all the way to the moon and back again twice. Current and former employees cashing in too.
Having this kind of equity has allowed us to do things like buy a house.
Robert is a former SpaceX employee who requested we only use his first name to discuss his personal finances.
This is actually going to have a generational impact on my family.
But as SpaceX
I'm finally getting pussy again.
employees and investors celebrate one of the biggest wealth creation events in modern history, many Americans are living a very different reality.
I can feel the inflation.
This week's inflation report showed prices continued to climb last month, hitting 4.2%. That's the highest level since 2023. A big reason? Soaring energy prices tied to the Iran war. But it's not just pain at the pump. Beef prices and groceries, rent and medical care, they're all much more expensive as well. President Trump trying to put a positive spin on the news.
The numbers were great. You know what I really love? I love the
It's like you're all
The
owning
president
nothing
later
and
telling
being
the New
happy.
York Post his comments were taken out of context, arguing the inflation report came in lower than expected. But for many Americans, the cost of everyday life remains front and center.
Have you seen things go up in terms of price?
Yes.
What have you seen go up?
Gas prices, food prices, all that kind of stuff. Rent prices, everything. Literally everything you can imagine, to be honest with you.
And while stocks like SpaceX have pushed markets to record highs, those gains have not been felt equally.
The haves are getting on. They're really separating from the have-nots when you look at these deals. Really big. The gulf is getting wider.
As of October.
Okay, so what constitutes a have and a have-not under capitalism is inevitably a function of who has capital to invest and who does not. So the people who invested in SpaceX on day one made a lot of money because it went up 20% on day one.
Well, and just to clarify, if you're connected and you have the connections and your brokerage that you belong to has the connections, that's how it'll usually work. You'll go to your broker and say, can you get me shares? And very often they can. It didn't open at the offering price. You missed that already.
Right.
It opened, unless you got in before it actually was released on the NASDAQ, you didn't get that percentage.
Right. A lot of UPS employees made a lot of money that way because they got in early with their options. Right. But even more broadly than that, capitalism is about investing existing capital wisely such that you create more capital for yourself when those investments pay off. So the have-nots are the workers who live paycheck to paycheck with the money that they receive in exchange for their labor. If they're not investing, if they're not investing, they are not a part of the capitalist system. This is what people have to understand. If you collect a check every week and you don't invest that money, you are not a capitalist. You are not a capitalist. You are essentially a slave in the eyes of the capitalist. You are not literally a slave in the historical sense, but that is how they view you. They have to give you enough so that you can afford to keep working for them, but not any more than that, because beyond that, you are a cost. So this whole divide between have and have not, it's not just about who has money and who doesn't. It's about how certain people make money under capitalism and how others make money under capitalism. Now, in boom economies, can workers get paid enough to have a decent life? Sure, that was the case, say, in the 1950s, post-war. Of course, what was World War II? It was a giant public works project. The government stimulated the economy by going to war and putting women to work. So that's another conversation, perhaps for another time. But this divide between rich and poor is not just a divide between who has what. It's a divide between how people get what they have. And that is very determinative of your place in the system. Some are in, some are out.
The top 1% now hold 32% of America's wealth, according to data from the Federal Reserve.
The investors.
But for those outside of that top tier, building wealth can feel increasingly out of reach.
Do you feel like you're in a position to improve your finances over time, or do you feel stuck at all?
Stuck, for sure.
One survey showed roughly 2 in 3 Americans say they live paycheck to paycheck. A stark reminder that while America continues to create out-of-this-world wealth for some, for others, the economic reality is far more down to earth.
Right. So if you're living paycheck to paycheck, what that means is that you are exchanging your time at a job for money that your boss gives you. That does not make you a capitalist. You are not part of the capitalist system when you do that.
Right. You've had that for as long as you've had states.
Exactly. So it's not just incidental, right? It's no accident. It's not a mystery that, well, why is it that the economy's working better for some, but not others? Because they're two different economies. They work entirely differently from each other. You're comparing apples and oranges. Of course, tell that to 80% of X users, and they'll just, call you fake and gay. So Power to the people. Ryan Knight, proud socialist, says Elon's secret formula to becoming a trillionaire: become a corporate welfare queen and take billions from the government, exploit the labor of the working class and exploit child labor in Africa, change IPO rules so index funds with Americans' 401ks buy SpaceX shares. He put out a video accompanying this tweet.
I made a video on how billionaires' wealth has tripled in the last 15 years. Well, billionaires' wealth is growing so fast that yesterday, when I made the video, Elon Musk was a billionaire worth something like $800 billion. Well, today, he's no longer a billionaire, ladies and gentlemen. We now have the world's first trillionaire. Yay! Give it up for capitalism, folks. We produced the world's first trillionaire before we were able to guarantee healthcare to everyone in this country, before we were able to house the homeless, before we were able to have real public transportation through our cities, before we were able to guarantee a college education to everyone. This is where we are.
You want to take the bus, get a job.
What capitalism has produced. It's not profitable to house the homeless, to guarantee healthcare to everyone, to guarantee everyone has a great education. But it is profitable for these corporations to funnel as much wealth as humanly possible up to their rich shareholders and up to one man. It's absurd. And I hope this is the wake-up call that we need. But, I don't think it will be, because they've succeeded in dividing us. And that is really how they control the population. Divide and conquer, baby. It is the oldest strategy in the ruling class's playbook. And they've got people convinced that, oh, the red corporate party will save me. No, the blue corporate party will save me. And it's just so blatantly obvious that, hello, neither party will save us, because they both represent the giant corporations and the billionaire class, which now we have to call it the trillionaire class. This is insanity, folks. Enough is enough. Stop fighting against your neighbors. Stop fighting against your fellow working class proletariat, and start directing the animus and the energy on where it belongs, and fighting back against both of these corrupt parties who rig the system against us and for their billionaire donors and now trillionaire donors.
Yeah, he's right. And by exploit, so here's some of the peasant-minded people. I mean, this was everywhere on Twitter. These are just some of the replies to his video, to the video we just saw. And by exploitation, you mean, of course, working for a living. You are whining while trying to make money on social media. LOL. You should have gotten a job instead. I'd bet everything I own Ryan Knight has 5 times the net worth of this fucking loser. I bet everything I own on that. Everything I own. He's a much more successful, by your standards at least, than you are. Saul Alessio, who was he exploiting? He worked. He earned money. Then he invested it. He made a company, took the risk, and then repeated the process. The successful don't steal from anyone like you're wanting the government to do. What are you doing in the United States? A silent dog. You are jealous as fuck because you're poor and lazy. Again, I would bet everything I own Ryan Knight has more money than any of these people. No, just absolute pathetic peasant-brained pipsqueaks and cowards. I mean, these are people who don't want to face the fact that their enemies have more money and more power than they do. They are much more comforted by the narrative that the enemy is the Somali with the daycare center that shouldn't be getting whatever tax money they're getting. They're more vulnerable. Yeah, exactly. They also, I love the whole retort that if you are at all concerned at not just the moral hazard, but the political hazard of the existence of now trillionaires, that concern must be born of some jealousy, as if everyone is as shallow and empty and superficial and soulless as you are. That is what that assumes. Oh, you must be jealous that you're not a trillionaire. What's amazing about this is that they express such contempt for people who don't strive to be trillionaires, while at the other side of their mouth praise them for. So, you know, there are a lot of people who work jobs who know for a fact going in they'll never get rich working them, like school teachers. Now, okay, these people tend to not really be big on school teachers, but you know who they're really big on? Cops. You see any multi-millionaire cops living in McMansions? No, cops basically make a working class to middle class salary. They don't go into that with aspirations of being rich. They're workers. But you don't talk down to them the way you do people who blow the whistle on trillionaire status now. Angela McArdle, libertarian, bunch of griping about trillionaires from the left. Who's going to be the second trillionaire? That's what I want to know.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. What's going to be your second brain cell? That's what I'd like to know about that. When are you going to grow a second brain cell? Look at this fucking simp here. This guy, what a pathetic fucking piece of shit this guy is. Here's Mike Benz. Oh, Mike Benz. Ooh, Mike Benz.
I always said this fucking guy was an op.
Yeah. You could give the typical American 11 million. Okay, so first let's just read what he's quote tweeting. So Elizabeth Warren, Elon Musk just became the first trillionaire. The typical American household would have to work more than 11 million years to make Elon Musk's level of wealth. Well, that indicates what I just said during the TV segment that we watched. You don't get rich by exchanging your time for money. There's never going to be a wage that pays you enough to become a millionaire, much less a billionaire or now a trillionaire. You don't make money that way when you're talking about the kind of money that guys like Elon make. It's a completely different paradigm. But anyway, here's the genius, Mike Benz. You could give the typical American 11 million years, and they still would not create PayPal, Tesla, SpaceX, OpenAI, XAI, Neuralink, Boring Company, Ad Astra, all while, I love this, single-handedly saving free speech for all mankind. While lifting humanity out of the grip of big tech tyranny.
Oh, you gotta be shitting me.
That's Mike Benz. I said he's worth $1 trillion, man. If you're going to suck his cock, at least charge him for it. Yeah.
He didn't invent most of those companies, and the ones that he did tend to be unsuccessful, like the Boring Company.
Yeah, but I mean, so this is the other thing. Like, even if I love this whole thing about, well, certain billionaires are bad because they're not self-made, but the self-made billionaires are good. No, who fucking cares if you're self-made?
He's not self-made. He's an heir to an emerald mine.
No, of course he is. But who say he were? Who gives a fuck? Who cares? It's irrelevant whether you were self-made. So yeah, have $1 trillion net worth. There are only 21 countries on Earth with a GDP of over $1 trillion. Does everybody understand that? So Elon Musk now single-handedly wields more power than what? 90% of countries on Earth? You don't think there is political hazard in that? I don't care if you fucking were born in a gutter. It doesn't matter. Fuck you. Be happy with 900 billion, okay? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. And it's not even about what I know. I'm just saying. 900 million, 50 million. The point of taxing wealth is not even about the revenue that it generates for the state. It's about checking the outsized political power of certain individuals.
Yes.
Because you have a constitution where it's one person, one vote. And in a country where everything can be bought, everything can be sold. And if there's a buyer and seller for everything, then if you have the net worth of $1 trillion, you're now essentially more powerful than the government itself. You could fund the government's military for 1 year with your net worth. Obviously, you don't have that cash on hand, but we're talking big round figures here. That is the philosophy behind taxing wealth. Is because, when you want to talk about should billionaires exist, which was the conversation that we were all so naively having 10 years ago. What a quaint idea. Should billionaires exist, right? My answer to that was always, well, no, billionaires should not exist alongside extreme poverty. Like, if you want to give everyone a roof over their head, guarantee everyone has health care, guarantee no children go hungry, right? Then if someone crosses the $1 billion line, all right, maybe I could live with that. Maybe. But in the face of just this extreme immiseration, no, I think there's moral hazard to the existence of billionaires with a B. Now, the devil's advocate side of that would be, hey, if you have $1 billion, right, there's moral hazard in that because of the wealth gap and the sort of social instability that kind of comes from that. But you could say, devil's advocate, and again, I would not subscribe to this, but devil's advocate, you could say, okay, well, what can the government do what can I do with $1 billion that the United States government couldn't do, right? Because shit is expensive, right? Could I end homelessness for $1 billion? No, you could end homelessness for $100 billion. You could end homelessness for $200 billion. But when you take it to the absurd point of a trillionaire, now there's almost nothing the government can do that you can't do, right? I mean, so in that sense, don't you have now more power in a capitalist society than the state itself? And you're going to make it, well, he worked for it. What the fuck are you talking about? How many fucking houses are you going to buy for $1 trillion? You can't spend $1 trillion if you tried every second of every day. You couldn't spend $1 trillion. Not only couldn't you spend it, if the guy invests $1 trillion, you couldn't even dip into it if you tried because the return on investment is going to be more than you could spend on shit. So it's not about what you worked for or what you earned. It's about political power and the influence that hundreds of millions buys you, much less billions, much less tens of billions, hundreds of billions, and now trillions. Like, what are you even talking about here? Like, be serious. Be fucking serious. There is absolutely zero argument for why a person becoming a trillionaire in this system is to be celebrated, unless you're just a brainless fucking simp.
Okay. And this
and I
is
have
why,
more, but I know I ranted, so go ahead.
This is why, some people were offended or upset when I said this when I came back. I am much more sympathetic to why China eliminated democracy and only practices decision making among a politically, ideologically committed group of communists. Because when you look at that, when you look at the tweets that you just put there, the idea that everyone needs a vote is really hard to justify. It's very hard to justify because when you see that working people can be so easily manipulated into worshiping wealth, in the end, if you have capitalism and democracy, the capitalists will buy the minds of enough people that they're able to claim that they have a mandate or that people are willingly accepting this. In the end, it's that horror movie, Speak No Evil. After this couple is tortured by another couple over the course of a whole movie with increasingly brutal mind games that eventually become violent. Why did you do this to us? Because you let us. That's it. These people, I hung out with James, who had been on the show a little bit in its early days. He drives for Uber, and he's been telling me how they're introducing dynamic pricing, where they know this guy will take the ride for this price, and they'll offer him less. They know that this guy is desperate. They'll offer him less. Also, now with the gas prices, it's killing these drivers. And they used to offer a rate increase when gas prices went up. They don't do that anymore. Everything that he tells me about that world tells me that they, and everything that I see in my own life, they'll get away with as much as you let them get away with. They're going to keep taking as much from you as they can. They will be very happy when you're living in a shed and they can pay you $3 an hour. Like, this is what they want. And that is what they'll do if you don't do anything to stop them. Now, actually, James said, I think it's going to take scaffolds, and that you're not going to see that until people are living in Hoovervilles. Yeah, I mean, probably. We were in a bar out on the island, and it was very Queens, Long Island kind of a crowd in there watching the Mets game. I said, yeah, you're not going to get anything done until these guys revolt. These are the guys that you need to revolt before anything's going to happen. And like, what would it take for them, a lot of whom are probably tweeting shit like that, to turn on the system? Yeah, they're going to have to be living in a cardboard box in the park before they're really going to turn on the system like that. At that point, the left, the so-called...
No, and this is why I'm telling you. This is why I'm
forget about that.
Well, this is
you
why I'm
need
telling
those
you,
guys. Until
right.
you got those guys, you got nothing.
And it ain't happening. This is why I'm telling you. There's going to be some type of UBI because that stabilizes the system and allows this kind of accumulation of wealth, right? And to the extent that the system is destabilized, they want to destabilize it just enough to, as Ryan Knight said, just keep everybody fighting each other.
Yep.
That kind of instability is good for them. But that widespread, no, they'll say here's a UBI. You could spend just take it easy on Israel, and the money will be there. And believe me, guys like Elon Musk. I mean, it's this weird fusion of these new tech robber barons and these like very old school supply side sort of like Reaganites now in Trump's orbit, whereas like Elon has said, like, we actually need a high income UBI because this is why. Because if you give the people enough shit where they can watch TV and be happy, then everybody is safe, right? But of course, Lutnick doesn't think that way, right? Like the Republican Party is still very much the Reaganite party. So now you have this very kind of odd fusion of the sort of new oligarchs versus the old, and that is a cocktail for things like the One Big Beautiful Bill, which, obviously we know what that's about. But I want to play this video. We're going to do audio because this is Bill Maher's show. And they're real copyright pricks here. But Bill raises the question, should you be able to have a trillionaire? Do you agree with that? And this Hagar Shamali, I don't even know who she is. This is a really fascinating answer. I don't have a problem with it because I don't have a problem with how they made their money because they've grown these companies. They've built them.
Able to have a trillionaire? Do you agree with that? Not a billionaire.
I don't really have a problem with it because I don't have a problem with how these billionaires and now single trillionaire made their money because they've grown these companies, they've built them.
Okay.
But the wealth gap that you're talking about, it's important because you don't want people to feel that their very real economic suffering is because of the billionaires. You want it when the tides rise, that all the boats rise with it, right? And I think that there's a danger in viewing the billionaires as the problem, because then it leads from there people to say it's our economic system that isn't working. Therefore, it's capitalism that isn't working.
Right.
And the problem with that, and you're already seeing those seeds being planted, right? Mamdani, that's his big arguments were about socialism and things like that. And the thing is, what you need certain regulations, maybe it's taxes, maybe things that can indicate to people it's not because of the billionaires. The billionaires are doing business and innovation, and hopefully that has job growth. It's other ways that you want them to believe that there's opportunity that they can pursue, but it's not because of the billionaires.
Right. So she basically saying the existence of trillionaires make it really difficult to gaslight the public into believing that the system is working for them. I mean, that's a very Pete Hegseth-like answer. I mean, that she should hook up with Pete Hegseth. They'd have fascinating dinner conversations. Yeah, she may have. Where he was saying, well, yeah, it's the same deal as Obama's deal, but we got there the cool way with war. You know what I mean? It's a similar kind of thing. She's like, yeah, we don't want people getting the idea that the system is broken. So, maybe we should like regulate the trillionaires. But, I don't really have any problem with the trillionaires except for the fact that it kind of gives people too much of a hint about the system that they're living in. So let's hear some more peasant-minded takes here. Dude literally slept on the floor in his many companies 7 days a week to build them to a success. Show me a detractor that is willing to sacrifice equal dedication to success as Elon, and then they could be taken seriously. Okay, so once again, you just have, I'm sorry, the utter stupidity of people making this a calculation about, well, how hard did you have it, and how much did you slum it?
Yeah.
In order
a lot
to
of people
become a
work in 3
trillionaire.
jobs.
Right. As if a lot of people don't work 3 jobs and have barely a roof over their head. But the point is, you're talking about $1 trillion. It said in the Today Show, you could stack pennies to the moon and back twice. That's how much $1 trillion is. What amount of sacrifice? I mean, did you fucking torture yourself using medieval like machinery? Is that what you did? Because what amount of sacrifice morally justifies having $1 trillion net worth? Like,
Right.
again, these
Right.
people just do not have any concept of what they are talking about. And I know that sounds vague, but I mean that in a very specific sense. They literally do not conceptualize what $1 trillion is. Jimmy has that great joke. What's the difference between $1 billion and $1 million? It's about $1 billion, right? Well, what's the difference between $1 trillion and $1 billion? It's about $1 trillion, right? Like, they don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. If you slummed it and you worked your ass off and you really denied yourself the basic dignities of existence, which I don't know how much that is true in Elon's case. I don't think Elon ever slummed it as hard as like a friend of mine who used to sleep in the basement of the Target he was working at because he couldn't afford an apartment based on the money they were paying him. I doubt that's ever been Elon Musk. But let's just say it was. You come through that and you accrue a net wealth of or a net worth of $1 million, and now you can live comfortably in a house and drive a car and maybe have a swimming pool or whatever. Okay, that's a nice story. That's you've been through the shit and now you live well. That's if you're that's a millionaire. Beyond that, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what moral argument are you making that doing this justifies $1 trillion net worth? It's fucking nonsense. It's just absolute fucking retarded batshit nonsense. All right. Sorry, this is going to be an hour segment if I don't speed it up. All right. Good news for those who hate billionaires. Elon Musk is no longer a billionaire. Yeah. Ha ha. Ha ha. The taxpayer. I pay your salary. Yeah. Wow. Public funds. Okay. I'm speeding it up, folks. It's getting late. Piers Morgan trying to get that interview. Really lobbying hard for that Elon Musk interview. Amid all the predictable seething jealousy and bitter resentment to this news, I'd like to congratulate Elon Musk on an astounding achievement. He's got there by being the most driven, creative, hardworking, and ambitious business genius in history. Salute, Elon. Okay, so
wow.
Let's just talk about how he actually got this. And let's just talk about what kind of a person this system rewards. Now, we've done several segments on Elon Musk and all the shit that he's pulled over the course of his life. I'm just pulling 2 recent headlines. These are just 2 of the most recent things that maybe you haven't heard about yet. Trillionaire Elon Musk's destruction of USAID takes food aid from millions facing deadly hunger. Is a report by Jake Johnson and Common Dreams.
You mean they didn't just shut down the trans dance troops?
Right. They didn't shut down.
It wasn't just that.
Yeah, and they didn't get to the bottom of the CIA infiltration that Mike Benz told Joe Rogan. Oh, it's a CIA op. Oh, really? Did they ever get to the bottom of that? Did I ever see any arrests about that? Any whistles blown about that? Any statements from Tulsi Gabbard about any discoveries regarding any of that? No. What we've seen is like increases in malaria in lots of parts of the world. HIV. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Elon Musk's vault to trillionaire status following the public debut of his rocket company SpaceX came on the heels of an analysis showing the devastating impact of his destruction of the U.S. Agency for International Development on millions of people in countries facing or on the brink of famine. The analysis, authored by Council on Foreign Relations expert and longtime aid worker Sam Vajerski, noted that Musk's targeting of USAID during his tenure as head of the Department of Government Efficiency resulted in the transfer of the Food for Peace program to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, an agency without international humanitarian or disaster response expertise. Bajerski found that the USDA this year chose just 7 countries to receive American grain under the Food for Peace program: the Democratic Republic of Congo, Ethiopia, Guatemala, Haiti, Kenya, El Salvador, and Rwanda. The latter 2 countries, Bajerski noted, do not meet an emergency threshold for assistance. So this is Elon Musk's version of efficiency, right? Meanwhile, the country facing the largest hunger crisis in the world, Sudan, did not make the list. Now in its 3rd consecutive year of famine, Sudan received nothing. In fact, more than 40% of Sudan's community kitchens, a lifeline for the displaced, have closed in the past 6 months as funding dried up, according to Islamic Relief, Bajerski reported. Afghanistan, Lebanon, and Yemen were also passed over. Gee, wonder why. Experts assessing the global impact of USAID's decimation at the hands of billionaire U.S. President Donald Trump and the world's first trillionaire, who bragged publicly about feeding USAID into the wood chipper, estimate that hundreds of thousands of people have already died as a result of the large-scale loss of humanitarian assistance, and millions more will die in the coming years if swift action is not taken to restore aid. So ImpactCounter.com was cited here in terms of estimated deaths and increases in cases of these severe illnesses. 1 year projected deaths from funding discontinuation, 262,000 adults, 518,000 child deaths. And they cite their methodology in that right column. So you can click on every one of these. They do basically a report that's sourced. So these are additional cases, not total cases, estimated additional cases of adult malaria. 2.3 million additional adult malaria cases due to terminated funding. Additional adult malaria deaths, 17,000. Additional cases of tuberculosis, 81,000. Additional child deaths from diarrhea, something we don't hear too much about in the United States. Additional child deaths from diarrhea, 126,000. 155,000 additional child deaths from malnutrition as a result of these funding cuts. Numbers are pretty astounding. Additional child deaths from pneumonia, 165,000. Additional child malaria cases, 7 million. 53,000 additional child malaria deaths. Additional deaths from neglected tropical diseases, 23,000. Additional deaths from tuberculosis, 62,000. On top of that, you know, we've seen a lot of Elon's agitating for civil unrest with the Tommy Robinson rallies in the UK. Again, we can go on forever about Elon's bio. But again, we're trying to keep things just as recent as possible. Give you some recent examples. This from June 10th. British politicians accuse Elon Musk of stoking racist violence in Belfast. Yeah, those anti-immigrant riots in Belfast. British politicians have accused Elon Musk of encouraging an anti-immigrant pogrom in Northern Ireland. On Tuesday night, masked men burned cars, smashed windows, and set fires across the city of Belfast after footage of a knife attack the previous night circulated online. A 30-year-old Sudanese man has been charged with attempted murder for the knife attack. Rioters then targeted immigrant neighborhoods, forcing families to flee. Claire Hanna, leader of Northern Ireland's Social Democratic and Labour Party, described the violence as a race-based pogrom. On Tuesday, before men rampaged through Belfast in search of migrants, Musk shared a call by far-right Tommy Robinson for people to take to the streets. Musk wrote, "Only by protesting repeatedly and loudly will there be any change." There is the tweet right there. All businesses to close 5:30 p.m. tonight. No excuses. Mass protests. Musk later reposted a post that said, it's not social media that's inflaming tensions. It's not Elon Musk. It's not Nigel Farage. It's not the far right. It's the very deliberate policy of mass, uncontrolled immigration and open borders. This policy has to end, or it will destroy Western nations. So those are just two of the more recent examples of Elon Musk's activism and contributions to humanity that makes him so worthy of becoming the first trillionaire. You couldn't script it any better. This is a guy who gets defense contracts and then stokes racial unrest and distrust of your fellow neighbor in order to divide you, in order to distract you from the fact that he is accruing $1 trillion net worth. And not only is he accruing $1 trillion net worth, but these are the people who are engineering the very you will own nothing and be happy future that you thought you were voting against when you voted to empower the likes of Donald Trump, who, by the way, Elon Musk blew the whistle on about being in the Epstein files. Now they're chummy again. And, oh, yeah, Elon Musk also mentioned in quite damning fashion in the Epstein files. So this is the great character profile of the world's first trillionaire. You couldn't script it better if you were attempting to just display the amoral nature of the economic system that creates a trillionaire like Elon Musk.
Yeah, and as far as USAID goes, this is what we said at the time. There was a component, very much like the Peace Corps, there was a component that actually offered aid, and there were CIA ops nested inside the aid. And when you looked at the crew that was supposedly bringing transparency to this agency, Marco Rubio, Elon Musk, and such, we said at the time, what do you think they're going to do? You think they're going to get rid of the CIA component and keep feeding people and bringing them medicine, which was something that nobody argued wasn't actually happening? Or do you think they're going to keep the coups and the black ops and get rid of the aid?
Right.
That was very obvious. And frankly, I have said this before, a lot of people who should have known better, who have a lot more experience with this than we do, seem to have missed that at the time. And I can see in the comments that a lot of people are still missing that component, partly because of that reporting at the time that came from some respectable sources who, in the current era, actually admit missing that. Fair enough, man. We miss all kinds of things. We miss like 10 things in this episode, I'm sure. But look at who you're dealing with. Do you think these guys wanted to stop the coups and keep giving aid, or stop the aid and keep doing coups? Look what's happening in Venezuela. Like, what part of USAID did they get rid of? So, yeah, you're bringing mass death and immiseration around the world, and you never got rid of that element of USAID. From what I understand, they just moved that over to the State Department. They moved the black op coup part of USAID over to the State Department now.
Well, and they folded the aid under the USDA, so they have tighter control over it, which means what do? They deny more countries more aid. A lot of people are saying, and look, I'm not a public health expert. I don't know whether or not this is accurate to the extent that it's being reported. I'm sure it's accurate to some extent that the Ebola outbreak is partly a result of cutting public health funding for countries like Uganda. I mean, why wouldn't it be? Like, I don't know if it's true to the extent it's being reported, but it seems likely that it's true to some extent, right? I mean, if you cut funding from places where diseases run rampant, I just showed you the numbers here. All of these numbers have reports that cite how they came up with these figures in the right-hand column. Methodology. You can click. Every one has a study. They're all of 18 studies here. So yeah, I mean, why wouldn't those viruses proliferation be tied to that?
Well, of course, man. And this is where, honestly, the so-called left, it's a fucking joke. It's a fucking joke. You're talking about the fucking suffering of millions of people, and what? You read some shit? You read some shit? Oh yeah, no, USAID.
Well,
Yeah,
Mike Benz said
Mike
it's all
Benz
an op.
said,
Yeah.
I mean, these are fucking real people fucking dying. God, man. It's just that. That's why I say, man, the people who were in the fucking bar on Long Island I was in the other night, when those people rise up, there will be a revolution. The fucking people sitting there reading a little art. Everybody who doesn't agree with me is an op. Sign the
Right.
so-called left.
Right. All right. Let's move right on along here. I'll take some super chats and rumble rants. We got one more segment here, so please do smash that like button. Thanks everybody for being here tonight. P.W. Walker, Modi wanted NVIDIA chip bans because he hoped that it would hobble China by denying them from NVIDIA stack, something that Modi's company is reliant upon, and couldn't imagine an alt rising.
Well, see, I mean, I can't imagine that cat never went to China.
Mm.
I understand why he wouldn't have thought they would have come up with an alternative.
Basically, Modi wanted the U.S. government to interfere in the marketplace to protect Anthropic. Vienticus Prime, I thought of a good analogy. Reactionaries are to fandoms like Zionists are to Judaism. Right now, the West is trying to destroy Japanese anime and gaming culture. Really on that anime beat, Vienticus. You should write anime books. E.F. Husseau, Eric Husseau, Mars was promised to Elon 3,000 years ago. Thank you. How can I pay for a trip on SpaceX when Elon has all our money? That's right. That's right. At least the Martian colonies won't be started by an apartheid South Africa. That's right. Vienticus, it's speculated that if people start living on Mars, people wouldn't start turning purple. Good one. Eric Husseau, Elon is way more Galaxy Quest than Star Trek. Yeah,
I don't think he was kidding. I think he's saying scientifically they speculate that the changes that would happen in the body would turn you purple.
Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah, if you just walked around there, yeah. I mean, maybe.
Well,
Like Steve Rosenberg.
I mean, it's kind of a cockamamie scheme. Like, until you figure out how to control gravity, it would probably kill you. Like, it's going to destroy your bone density and organs to the point you're going to die.
Yeah, I would say that's probably likely. If we build colonies on Mars, we're going to discover Metatron and see orbital frames flying around. Sir Uncle. If you know, you know. Manasaxena 6691, thanks for the $10. Just to see how much a trillion is, $50 to a person making $50,000 is $1 billion to a trillionaire. It would take 25 million years for an average person to earn that much. Yep. It's have yachts and have nots. Huh? Good one. P.W. Walker, SpaceX blackmailed NASDAQ and demanded it would be allowed to be included on the index within 15 days. Usual is 6 months to a year. Otherwise, they'd go to the New York Stock Exchange. Being added to the NASDAQ index forces ETFs and the like to buy SpaceX. SpaceX also limited its float to 3% of ownership. All these funds now have very limited numbers to buy, forcing the price up. SpaceX is a scam. Not only that, the IPO is based on 100% of revenues, not SpaceX profits. Interesting. Vienticus, the stay-at-home mom was an aberration. Women worked either in their own trades or alongside their husbands. It changed with the French Revolution to pardon. Man, even throughout American history, women have
they worked in the fields.
Yes, women have worked for most of American history. Yeah, it was this period, this Leave It to Beaver period, that is the sort of vision of the quote, American family life. That refers to a period of about 13 or 14 years. Yeah. That was not the norm. DD, regarding Graham Plattner, calling reports on him hit pieces is lazy. All right, you know what? Enough of you. All right, Angry Pro. Chiron Arnold. Hey, Russ, a documentary was recently released about Robin Bird and the show.
Keaton wants to go to bed, and he knows if he reads the rest of that, I'm going to go off for 20 minutes.
And that's do it on your own time. Chiron Arnold. Hey, Russ, a documentary was recently released about Robin Bird and the show she hosted on late night New York TV. Did you ever watch the show when it aired? I saw a doc about the show Midnight Blue years ago. Huh.
All right. So this is funny, Keaton. You got to remind me because I'll find it. Okay. So I met Robin Bird, and there are pictures of me with Robin Bird. I was doing a show at the Cutting Room the same time as she was. So yes, I'm familiar with the Robin Bird show, and I've hung out with Robin Bird.
Oh wow, that's
Yep.
cool. Luke B43. If Elon announcement is like the ad in the original Blade Runner, are you bored of life on Earth? Let's go to the colony. Right. Eric Rousseau, right-wingers complain about taxing wealth, but at the same time complain about how wealth like the Rothschilds is controlling everything. Yeah, that is another thing. That is another thing. Well, this is why. I mean, look, like, obviously, in light of the Epstein files, I think it's more likely than not that, like, a lot of these conspiracy theories are more or less true, right? So, you know, I don't want to be too dismissive of them. However, you know, conspiratorial thinking can often obscure class analysis, right? Like if you present class enemies as these sort of like mystical, you know, cult members, you know, who have some magic grip on the world, a lot of their grip on the world has to do with how much money they have and where they put that money. A lot of it is class. And there are a lot of, you know, like right-wing conspiracy theorists don't want to talk about that, right? They don't want to talk about what gives these lizard people their power is their wealth. That's what gives them their power. They're not powerful because they're lizard people. They're powerful
Right.
because they're rich lizard people.
Yeah, I that's why this all requires so much brainwashing. You know, I've mentioned it a couple times. I'm reading Finks, and you know what I say about two different kinds of traps for two different kinds of mice. They've been playing that game since the Cold War. The CIA funded intellectuals to make an anti-communist argument that would be urbane, that they would perceive as leftist, and corporate media is the legacy of that tactic. The Mika Brzezinskis, the Rachel Maddows are very much the inheritors of that. And look, Matt Taibbi in Happier Times used to talk about how many people who are openly known to be CIA agents who worked in the media. Yeah, a lot of they're still working for the CIA. And then the other approach was the McCarthyite approach for the morons. That's un-American, right? But they knew that the urbane, educated people had a distaste for that tactic. Right. The MAGA stuff. You can't make them anti-communist with that was the MAGA of its time, the McCarthyism, right? And I know the liberal upper class don't like that kind of shit. So even then, they basically funded a Rachel Maddow anti-communist. It's all aimed at making you support the system.
All right. I want to do one more.
All right. Last call for alcohol. All right. Failed swimmer Riley Gaines got caught on camera here in an embarrassing moment trying to figure out what her beliefs are.
Tell me the pillars again. So it's pro-life.
So, First Amendment, veteran.
Okay. First, second. Yep. Cool. The First Amendment, the Second Amendment, the sanctity of life, our veterans, I feel very passionately about. Do you guys, if you're going to talk about, I mean, you hate to even call them political issues, but do you specifically say like the left or the right, or is that something you try to kind of refrain from?
What about repealing the 13th
Like
Amendment?
if I were to say something to the effect of like the left is still doubling down.
Throw that in there?
Yeah, you can say it. Okay. I've heard you introduce from the beginning, so.
Okay. First, that's what I needed to figure out really
So
quick.
stupid.
Is when
just give her a script.
First, I mean, definitely over a year though. I would say, can I just say that like around 2 years ago?
Why wouldn't you?
Wait,
just
tell
give
me
her
the
a
pillars
script? I
again.
don't
So
understand
it's
this.
pro-life. Okay. First, second. Yep. Hello, my name is Riley Gaines, and I'm a very, very proud Patriot Mobile user, and I have been for about 2 years now.
Okay, so yeah, for whatever reason, I don't know why they didn't just script the ad. I get the impression with Riley Gaines, she's not the sharpest knife in the drawer either. So you can kind of get a sense of that there. Now, let me be clear. Before she became a professional grifter, I was sympathetic to Riley Gaines. I don't think, aside from, a lot of people make fun of her now because of what she's turned into, for having finished 4th or 5th or whatever she did with the trans swimmer Leah Thomas. But a lot of the issues she raised was not really even about that. It was about having to share the locker room with a man who, without even being told. According to her, they weren't even warned. All of a sudden, there's a cock next to her. Like, yeah, I think women have a right to ask for their own spaces. And the vast majority of people agree with that. And that's why this ended up being a losing issue. It's not something that's almost even debated at this point. And then, when she went and spoke at Berkeley, we covered that, where people literally threatened her life and trapped her in a room. So I'll say this, man. I think this happened with Joe Rogan too. Like Joe Rogan, I'm not saying she would have gone to the left. It seems like she really does have Christian conservative beliefs. But yeah, Joe Rogan tried to endorse Bernie Sanders and they told him to go fuck himself. At that point, and people are trying to take your living away from you, get you canceled. You're basically begging people to just take the right-wing money.
Right.
Why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they? She was going to be a dentist. You didn't really leave her that option. Like with her becoming one of the most prominent advocates for keeping men out of women's sports, what dentist office could she have gone and worked in without this mob coming after her? Right? Like she almost couldn't even go into anything else. So you get to be rich and respected this way, or you get these psychos calling your boss for the rest of your life the other way. Which way are you gonna go? That having been said, hey man, it's hard out here for a pimp, and a grift is a grift. MAGA influencer tries to remember her deeply held values. Yeah, that's Babylon BB, I think. So this is the company she's doing this ad for. Patriot, there's Mick Jaguar, cute. Here is Patriot Mobile exec admitting they added Christian to branding to grow profits.
My name is Glenn Story. I'm the founder and CEO of Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian
He is not the
conservative
CEO,
cell phone
according to
company
this.
that donates a portion of our proceeds back to the conservative
After
movement.
receiving
You might
$365,000
say,
in
what is a
PPP
Christian cell
funds.
phone company? Well, it's pretty easy.
fraud?
We were founded on biblical principles.
To be clear for anyone listening, I'm reading the text over the video. A
And we
grift?
let those biblical principles guide us.
In 2023, a company executive impregnated an employee. Coerced her to get an abortion in violation of Texas law. Then he fired her when she refused to abort
So
their child.
what separates us from the other carriers is we're 100% U.S. based.
They outsourced to India and the Philippines.
We also have
Patriot
very
Mobile is
competitive
just a
plans, but they
reseller of
promise
T-Mobile, Sprint, and AT&T.
to donate to
So Patriot Mobile customers' money still goes to so-called woke businesses.
causes contrary to your beliefs is one of the most
Patriot
important things
Mobile's
that we
grift
believe in.
exploits your
We
Christian
also
conservative
offer
beliefs.
excellent business-to-business
You would be better
pricing,
off with T-Mobile,
and
Sprint, or
those
AT&T,
are some of the most
and
important
donating the money you save to conservative causes you choose.
things we do. I really
point.
encourage you guys
But don't
to
take
go
our
ahead
word
and
for it.
put Jesus or Christ or Christian.
Let
in
Glenn
your
tell
name.
you himself.
We were growing at a great rate of 30% per year. We just repositioned our name. To
Don't
say
let him and his cronies
America's
profit
only
off your beliefs.
Judeo-Christian conservative cell phone company. We were growing at this, and we've grown like that. We were growing at this, and we've grown like that. We were growing at this, and we've grown like that. We were growing at this.
Yes. So yeah, that's like it's like George W. Bush and his Christianity. They say that he was not into any of that born again Christian stuff until he saw how many voters were into it, and his eyes opened. Oh, wow, you get a lot of people's votes with that. Same thing here, man. That's it. There's a lot of money in that grift. That's the oldest grift in the book, right? Going back to your tent revival preachers. It's just a modern day version of that grift. Mike Krunick. I mean, how else does a recent college graduate with no real world work experience afford an 11-acre Nashville area property replete with a pool, pond, barn, greenhouse, horses, cows, an alpaca, and a new Tesla truck? Yeah, I didn't know she has it going on like that. They got the little baby there. To see somebody peddle their baby like Riley Gaines has been profiting off hers. Usually you would have to go to Dubai to see that. But ever since she got pregnant, I stand up for her, my little girl, as a mother. Oh, yeah. I mean, she's smart enough to lean into that grift with the motherhood thing. But here... Exactly. So here she responded to this. Touch grass, find a hobby, and get aligned with Patriot Mobile. So here's her response to this controversy.
Really don't get on my phone on the weekends. I had no idea that I was involved in this internet online X controversy that does not exist anywhere outside of X.
So
by the way,
patronizingly, as if that's not where she makes her
Patriot
living.
Mobile.
Yeah.
So I
Online.
figured I would just make a video, clear some things up. Number one, Patriot Mobile has never, ever, ever paid me for anything. Not.
Why would you be selling Patriot Mobile? Like, why would you be doing an ad for Patriot Mobile? If this were some nonprofit and pro-life group, I would believe her. Why would you do that?
I do not believe that there is no financial incentive for her to read those ads. Maybe they don't pay her. Maybe she's just lying. Maybe they do. But maybe they don't pay her. Maybe she gets a commission, or maybe whatever platform, maybe whatever deal she has with whatever platform she's using, makes her read certain ads, a certain number of times. I don't know. We don't know those details.
There has to be a reason. Like, you don't just go volunteer.
You don't just read ads for free.
To do an ad read for a for-profit company.
No, you don't just do ad reads for free. No, of course
not in the line of work she's in.
And not that way.
This is her profession. This is what she does.
Look, like if you feel passionate about something, if you find a product or a service that you like, you can recommend it to people. Like, I just found this app. It's called Localized. Notice there's no Localized logo behind me. I'm not getting paid by Localized to say this. But it's this really cool app where you put in your zip code and it tells you a list of like independent farms near you. And then it gives you like discount codes where you can go and support local farmers, and they give you a deal on the food. So like, that's really cool. So like, I can just like recommend that to you without getting paid by them if it's something I really care about. I don't have their fucking logo in back of me. I don't have a representative from the company telling me what to say in my ear. If that's happening, I'm sorry. I don't believe that there is not a financial incentive.
There's no financial incentive in the chain.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Whether you're getting money from them, we don't know. But there's got to be something somewhere.
Whether it's part of an overall package you're involved in as an influencer for hire. There's one of the things you do. You don't just go in and do an ad read for a for-profit company where there's no incentive anywhere other than you just like Patriot Mobile when you are one of the most prominent MAGA influencers in the space.
Right.
A service, not a campaign, not a commercial, not an ad, an endorsement, a product, nothing. I've never
it's
ever
not a commercial.
been paid
the
by Patriot
logo
Mobile.
is on the fucking
Check
wall
filings,
behind.
check like my bank account. I don't know. They've never paid me. So the whole bought and paid for thing would maybe be applicable if I had been paid, which I haven't. But even still, no, it wouldn't be, because I really am a proud Patriot Mobile user. Clearly, I live in the country.
So you're an idiot.
I love their service. I've never had a problem with it, whereas That has not been the case with other phone lines. I like the causes they support. They are pro-life.
What are you talking about? They are literally just subletting the lines of all of those companies. Like, they don't have their own build out of phone lines. What are you talking about? You have no problems with them, and you have it with other providers. Whatever provider they're using, it's one of those providers. It's Sprint or it's AT&T. It's not. They don't have their own phone network.
Pro-veteran, pro-military, pro-freedom. Just to provide some context to the raw footage that was released, which I will say it was a total blunder on Patriot Mobile's end of having that footage where it could be accessed by the public. I guess you got me. It's not natural for me to like sit in front of a camera and film myself talking with no teleprompter, with no script. It really was a personal and heartfelt endorsement. But when I was asked,
well, you know what? That fills me with confidence that this is a really reliable together company that people should subscribe to, that they stuck you in front of a camera with no teleprompter or script. That sounds like a really professional company. That's why it was so weird, this video, because everybody, that's what we were saying. Why would they not give her a script? Sounds like a pretty shitty company that doesn't have its act together. That's probably it.
asking,
got a big piece
is it
of
okay if I
land there,
use
too.
this language and
A lot
this,
of money.
if I say
Oh,
this?
yeah.
That mostly came from working with several 501c3s and 501c4s over the past few years, understanding that you have to be very specific about the language. I understand that Patriot is a for-profit, so maybe I didn't necessarily have to be concerned about those things. I wanted to make sure that I was saying everything in a manner that would not get the brand in trouble legally or financially. I don't know. That's just my very young, naive, not business-minded brain. I don't know. Like, I feel like that's pretty standard to do.
I don't know. It looks like you're doing. Maybe you shouldn't have shot this on your farm if you wanted to aw shucks your way through this explanation.
You're on 50 acres of land. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I just don't know nothing about business or nothing. Probably
You know
shouldn't
who
have shot
kicks
it there.
themselves every time they see Riley Gaines? The fourth place swimmer. They're like, God damn it. Why didn't I say
Why
something?
didn't I speak out?
Why didn't I say something?
That could have been me. I'm not even cross-eyed.
Yeah.
When you have a camera in front of you, it takes multiple takes to do. I don't know. I'm going to keep doing my thing. Go back, hang out with my family.
Oh, I bet you will.
Enjoy my weekend here in Tennessee. I encourage you guys to touch grass, get a hobby, keep arguing online. I don't know. Maybe go get a Patriot Mobile line. They didn't even have to pay me to say it. Y'all are weird.
Oh yeah, like you don't professionally argue online. That's beneath you. It's literally your job.
She could have just said, hey, look, just because I was fumbling over what to say. Look, I was just trying to get the script down. It's not that I don't mean it. It's just I'm trying to get the script down. But this is you're saying too much here. It's suspended.
Right.
I don't believe. No, it wasn't a commercial. The logo's
nobody,
right behind
nobody
you.
who is a professional influencer is going to go do an ad read for a for-profit company without there being an incentive somewhere in the chain.
Exactly.
Whatever form that is taking.
Yeah.
So how do you get in on this grift? This is how you get in on this grift.
I see on social media people saying they're voting for Kamala Harris because she's a woman.
She went to the big
Well, guess what?
idiocracy event at
I am
Madison
voting
Square
for
Garden
Donald
there.
J. Trump because I am a woman.
Yeah. Yeah. And Trump returned the favor there.
She really has been in the forefront. People that aren't that well versed in this would say that she was the leader. And great job, Riley. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
But we know how reliable Trump's loyalties are. So if you remember his Jesus picture,
Yeah.
Riley spoke up about it. This is why I say I think she actually is a conservative Christian, because there's absolutely no upside for her to say something like this. Why? Seriously, I cannot understand why he'd post this. Is he looking for a response? Does he actually think this? Either way, two things are true. One, a little humility would serve him well. Two, God shall not be mocked. So how did Trump respond to that? I didn't listen to Riley Gaines. I'm not a big fan of Riley, actually. And you know what? She came right back with, yeah, I didn't like the picture, but I support the president and
Oh,
his
yeah.
America First agenda. You better. You better. Robert Heath. I prefer girls who don't tie for fifth with the trans athlete. But hey, it all worked out for her. Her and Nancy Mace are getting together. They got a movie coming out on Netflix. Almost fourth.
Almost fourth. That's
That's
right.
that's gonna I predict that is gonna be the hit of the summer.
Ah,
So yeah. Hey, Grifton's hard. Grifton's hard. You gotta kiss up to a man who, if Riley Gaines really does have these beliefs, she probably thinks is a disgusting pig of a man. But you can't afford to come out and say something like that because that would be the end. They're not calling you. She was able to get away with that because nobody liked that picture.
Right.
Right. So she was kind of able to get away with it. And then she went right back into the camp. I support the
Oh,
president.
yeah.
Right?
It's
She
okay.
made it. Yeah. I just didn't like the picture. Right. So she still gets these gigs and these ads. But that's the price, man. That's the price. It's the old saying, it starts out a cause, ends up a racket, right? Like
Right.
I absolutely believe I've followed her from the beginning. She had a legitimate cause. She legitimately believed in at the beginning. Now she's just one of these people. She's another Eric Doherty, Paul Zippola, and that's what you see there. That's why it went viral, because it gives you a little peek behind the curtain of what these people all do. Like, whether you believe it, don't believe it, in the end, it's a business. It's a business. You're in the business of selling a certain agenda, and most of the companies you're working for, look at the video we looked at. This company's not legit. Did she take the time to look into that? Why didn't she say, hey, you know what? You're better off getting a conventional phone company, because that's what they're using anyway, and donating money to this pro-life cause.
Right.
Right? She's not going to say that because there's no money in saying that.
Right. You gotta join this like Fakakta phone company, which uses the regular line of what you skim a few dollars off the top for what? It doesn't even make sense. But the other thing about Patriot Mobile is, why not just give her a script? Like, why are you even workshopping it?
No,
with her?
no, I
Just tell her
wasn't. I wasn't kidding when I said it's probably a really fly-by-night company.
Yeah.
That's what that tells me. It's sloppy.
Yeah.
Like they
why
say,
would
you walk in a restaurant, if the floors are dirty, walk out. Right? It
Right.
tells you something about the kitchen.
Yeah.
The fact that they handled their ad that way says something about the company.
Yes, indeed. All right. We'll take some more chats and rants, and then we will close the lights on this stream, and we will go to Rumble for the Q&A. P. Walker, because of inflation, $1 trillion is now the new billion. It was inevitable. The current rate, quadrillionaires are just around the corner. Yeah, it'll probably be Elon. The next line of logic from people who like the ultra-wealthy: duh, bribery has never happened ever in all of history. Thank you, Vienticus. The mantra of the homeless is, life is great because billionaires exist. Thank you. EO Shush, I saw this reel of McDonald's worker who worked 82 hours in a week and barely made over $1,000. If Elon spent $1,000 a day, it would take him 2.7 million years to spend $1 trillion. Yeah, that's what I mean. You can never spend it if you tried. Piers Morgan is such a fucking pig. Thank you, John Smith. Vienticus, considering the source of those statistics is USAID, I automatically consider them suspect. Seems like a lot of, look, guys, we do good stuff, even though we're a CIA cutout. Trust our numbers. Okay. Well, I would urge you to rewatch that. I believe you've missed the point of the segment. Are you saying that what? So are you saying that all of those numbers are fake? Yeah, all of those numbers are fake. You Americans complain a lot for a country with a Second Amendment. EO Shush says, wait, where is it here? EO Shush, I gave a DD a $1 rant every second. You wouldn't be a millionaire in 11 days and a billionaire in 31 years, a trillionaire in 31,000 years. But I would be locked up for bank fraud on the first day. Kim and G, sorry, Russ, I didn't understand what you said about the left and people in the bar and revolution. Could you clarify, please?
Yeah, what we call the left is a fucking joke that couldn't run a game of jacks. And until you get actual working class people out of the broken brain peasant mind that they've been trained into quite intentionally by a lot of psyops over several decades, you're not going to get anything done. You're not going to get anything done because all you got is a bunch of people who want to posture, chest pound, and really don't give a fuck about people at all. At all. They're much more into signaling their virtue than they are about ameliorating suffering. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. There's nothing you can do with the left as currently constituted. And that's by design, man. They've been doing this since the 50s, man. They very consciously created a left that is absolutely pointless, aimless, and lacking in working class representation. And it shows.
Vientkes, well, when you got Larry Ellison and the like putting money into what's going on with anime and gaming, also the Martian purpling would happen over generations. Project Chaos Serva, thanks for the $1 super sticker. CB Punk, there's a running joke of my girlfriend that every woman over 65 in movies is Helen Mirren, because I mistakenly once said, Helen Mirren is in this. I love her, and it wasn't her with Judi Dench. Ha, good one. P. Walker, Riley Gaines doing more spin than Gal Gadot. A few years ago, Ms. Gadot was caught promoting Hawaii phones by using her iPhone. Is that right? Vientikis, even I came up with a script for Keaton, and I'm just some lone schmuck. That's right. That's right. You always give him a script. Love, but not from Bahrain. Singapore hits different. Thanks for the great show wherever we are in the world. Thank you, bro. Appreciate that. Look, she's probably getting paid, but to be fair, she's probably not smart enough to figure that out. Ha! Good one. Good one. All right. DoDissidents.com/Rumble. We're going to take a 5-minute break. What do you got for intermission today?
Today, I've got a real blast from the past. Very appropriate about, well, it's kind of ahead of its time. I'm going to surprise you. It's ahead of its time, but it's in the AI theme. It's a movie from the 70s. And then I've got a little of our friend Carsey Blanton in there. And I've got a British ad from like the 70s. That's pretty funny.
All righty. Very well. Well, hey, thanks everybody for being here tonight. Thanks to Jake in the booth. Thanks to the YouTubers and the Rumblers and the mods for keeping the peace in the chat. We'll take a 5-minute break, and then we will head over to the Q&A on Rumble. All are welcome to join in the chat. Patrons are welcome to call in. The link is DoDissidents.com/Rumble if you would like to continue with us over there. If not, we'll see you Tuesday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Until whenever we see you again, thanks very much for being here tonight. Be safe and be well.
Courage!
Please clap.